Great spot here. Wow. Kino, a sitting duck. Diffuser goes down as well, but hold on. Gavin finds a two-piece of his own. Gunner blows himself up.
What?
We're going to need an instant replay on that, and here comes the default plant. Fire will go down. Pino manages to get away with it. A swing on in. Gavin is last alive, and he tears through them all. It's Gavin on 4K looking for the ace. He will hunt down Hates. He's got a good read on him, but Hates will shut him down. Tie game.
He does the most, but it's not enough, Parker. Good try from Gavin on that top floor, but in the end, it's just the collapse coming through. Really got to focus on that entry game from Fantasy once again. Undefeated on his attacking opening engagements in yesterday's game against Weibo. He really found that gap this time around. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact they didn't have as much denial for that vending hallway. Weren't able to stall things out without the smoke, without the Denari. So that gap was found then coming through from that player on NIP. Fantasy was able to get in, get deep, and get those couple of kills. Really not sure what was going on with Gunner in the midst of that. Probably not the focus here. He was just in he was CEO side. Must have seen somebody on a window or something and just got caught up in the midst of it.
Where did he blow himself up with the nitro cell? There
so this
was.
Must be it, yeah.
It happens. It happens. I guess we need some kind of distraction from the G2 debacle yesterday.
Yeah.
If you didn't tune into their matchup against the Shopify Rebellion on Nighthaven Labs, there was some tomfoolery afoot from the G2 lads. One of the most viewed clips on socials for this game yesterday, second only to our good Australian friend Xenox, trying to say the word successful and having a bit of problems with it.
He was not successful in his attempts to say
He was not successful at all. No, that is correct. What's at stake for this matchup, by the way? For those of you that haven't followed along yesterday, all of the teams in this group, save M80, were in action. The team that has the day off today is Team Heretics. They were known as Project Zero. That's definitely a play by Wizard. Diffuser is there, and I'm going to be honest with you, Jesse. I would be steaming mad if I was Wizard.
Slammed him.
Why are you there is the question that needs to be asked. What's at stake? Well, one team in each of these groups will go home. From 20, we will go down to 16 teams. Ninjas in Pajamas are tied with M80 in dead last. The only reason why they're tied is because M80 didn't play yesterday. If NIP loses this without picking up a point, they will be in very serious danger of being the first team and the only team to go home from Group A. Though, if you watch the Weibo FearX game, FearX is also on the bubble. They have just a single point so far, so not that much farther ahead.
Lots of Siege still to be played in these groups, but yeah, you're not liking your spot for NIP despite the opponents they've gone up against. We're running back the same bomb site, by the way, back to the top floor. M80 keeping everything the same with the sole exception of Gunner moving back onto that Denari. I like this move a lot coming through from Gunner. I was missing the Denari in the last round. He's decided to bring it on back. You've got double Scorpion play now, too, with Gavin still rocking on that Ella. So we've seen the slowness from NIP, losing their first player and trying once again for a third time on this admin clear. A little awkward for Kino, but
a bit of premonition from Hates there. Fantasy and Wizard have now both died, as there goes Fantasy. Diffuser having a pretty good game so far. He and Gavin combining for 12 kills, 6 apiece. And Nip, who are very strong on this side of the map twice before, have once again stalled out. It's allowed M80 to reposition with just below a minute to go. Hates is on the board. He's having a great game. He and Pino now tied for 4 kills, sitting just below Fantasy. There goes Cons. Diffuser follows shortly thereafter. We have a Glaz kill on the board. M80 with a numbers advantage of 1 with 30 seconds to go. They will stretch that to 2 as down goes Pino. And now Hates, who's been terrific, will need to be even better. I don't know what he'll be able to accomplish. Not much. Gavin takes him out, and this seesaw match will now tilt back in favor of the defending major champs as M80 goes back up by a single round, but that's all they've been able to lead by.
Pino, a bit of a madman in that round. I think he saw the writing on the wall in the 3v5, said, I got to try something. Smoke repels into the hallway and does manage to get a kill. It catches M80 off guard, gets deep into the bomb site, but that's really not where you expect a Glaz to be, and it's not where he thrives. Nice attempt from Hates as well, who I think has been playing well all game, but just not able to get any of that value for his team. Not enough after losing both Fantasy and Wizard early. I got to talk quickly about Cons. I know he's yet to find a kill. He's obviously the IGL and the main shield player on NIP, but it's been the early deaths for me, Parker. Before he's really able to take space, before his team are able to work some picks one way or another, feels like Cons has been going down a lot very quickly in a lot of these attacks. I want to see him locking in a little bit for this game. Playing on that Blackbeard now, one of my favorite quotes from Cons from back in the day was, "I hate playing shields, but they are the meta, and so I have to play them." We're seeing it now from him, and I just don't think it's found that enough success on it so far.
I mean, I'm by far and away not a pro player.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I don't think I need to say the obvious. But you don't got to be a pro player to know that if you play Blackbeard for 3 rounds, you probably should pick up at least 1 kill.
Sure.
Cons will go off of the shield. Fantasy will play the blitz for the very final round of this first half. Shield operators played so far are Blackbeard and Monty, all of them played by Cons. Cons has been freed from this position on this cafeteria garage take now from Ninjas in Pajamas. All of the hard breachers receiving some very serious changes, and this will be the first LAN event that we have outside of the regional finals with those hard breach changes live. Technically, they were live for the LAN finals, but because the season before was played on a previous build, none of those hard breach changes were live. So the changes to Thermite, who now has 3 exothermic charges, Hibana, who no longer needs to reload her X-Kairos, yada, yada, yada. We will now actually get to see them in action. Jesse, what did you say about entry stats for NIP as they've now surrendered 2 players, putting themselves in a 3v5 with 2 minutes still to go?
Yeah, the recovery rate was brutal for NIP. They didn't win a single attack yesterday where they didn't get the opening pick, so losing too early is not a good sign for them. They do get 1 back with Gavin going down, but again, just like in round 3, M80 are happy with how their roam game has gone. They've cleared out 2 of the threats, they've left themselves in a man advantage, and they've retreated back towards the basement. Now this time, NIP actually have hard breach, both Cons and Hates bringing that utility. I know Hates last time was on the Buck, of course, no longer has access to those can openers, so is bringing the flashes. It's all that he had access to, but still, with this utility in hand for NIP, the question is going to be, how do they manage the clock? You've got all the tools you should need. Smokes for a plant, hard breach for the walls, soft destruction for up above on Pino, but can you get it down? Can you keep track of all these members on M80? It's going to be a very difficult task from NIP. They've got the tools available to them, but there's a lot that they've got to keep track of in the last 60 seconds.
They got bogged down in this exact position the last time they had to attack this bottom floor bomb site. Difference was, at the time, they had completely separate tools. They've still got those boogie drones, which will give them a bit of an advantage against M80, at least when it comes to lines of sight. But the dangerous task will be, do you go for yellow stairs or do you go for a dead drop through that hatch? Why is it called a dead drop? Because most of the time when you drop, you end up dead shortly thereafter.
Yep.
If you recall, NIP had 2 separate players drop the hatch, huddle together near that cafeteria wall, and get picked off quite effectively by M80. M80 does have an advantage of 1, and they just need to wait. 20 seconds left on the clock. M80 have yet to lead by more than a single round. They have an opportunity to put the first half in the books up 4-2. There goes Diffuser as Hates marches in. Kino on the board as down goes Pino. Hates has found quite the opening. 3 for him, looking for a 5th. It's Gunner who's now retaken from above, searching for an angle, and an ace from Hates! 6 rounds in, 3 for M80, 3 for NIP. My goodness, no closer to a conclusion as we change sides.
How's that for a bounce back, Gabriel Eduardo? An ace coming in through this game to finish off the first half after being the lowest fragging player on NIP in yesterday's game against Weibo. He has completely turned his game around and has kept NIP competitive in this match through the first half. Excellently played by him. I was a little concerned because despite having all that hard breach, Parker, they didn't open the main breach. They had 1 guy playing above, and then they funneled everybody else through the yellow door. That's a risky play, but because they had good information, they had pings on where those players were at, they saw that it was free, they saw how far back M80 were playing, they made that call, they had the right decision. Not sure if it was Cons or someone else who made that call, but it was really smart from NIP, and they do a great job capitalizing on the issues that M80 maybe had on that defense, being a little bit too passive.
We have a very brief tech pause here. I'm not sure what the culprit is. Usually you can tell by the admin being somewhere nearby. We are being told that Fabian has broken his headset.
Classic.
Classic Fabian. Just goes to show you that 3 hammers and you still don't know how to handle a headset.
Well, hopefully it'll be a fast fix. I'm sure it will. These teams are more than used to situations like this, so Fabian working through it with his team. I honestly don't think M80 should be in so high of spirits right now, Parker. I know there's not a lot of data out there, but just because of the current patch we're on, but Consulate is thought to be probably the most defender-sided map in Professional Siege with Skyscraper's removal. That's been one of the big talking points. We swapped Skyscraper, a very defender-sided map, for Fortress, which many are expecting to be an extremely attacker-sided map. It's going to shift all the statistics a little bit more offensively sided. Consulate now kind of the lone holdout where defenders, in theory, should be dominant. A 3-3 split for M80, while it might look even on paper, I would argue actually favors the Ninja on the opponent's map pick.
I agree with you. I absolutely do. And we're back in it now. I guess the headset is working once more. That first half was quite the back and forth, and it was individual performances by some of those Ninjas in Pajamas players that really stuck things together. Round number 1, won by Diffuser, clutching in that 1v4, 1v3, technically, if you want to count it that, when the bodies hit the floor.
Yep.
And then ends with Hates clutching out by sweeping his way through the back hall, through that small office, and taking no prisoners en route to what might be the first ace of SI. I didn't see one yesterday. You might want to fact check me on that. With the conclusion of M80 versus Ninjas in Pajamas, Group A will be finished their matches for the day. Tomorrow, the team that has the day off is, for fans of the team, FearX. Team Heretics and Ninjas in Pajamas will do battle first before M80 plays up against the Red Hot Weibo Gaming. Then it goes FearX versus Nip in a match that could honestly determine which team finishes last in this group, depending on, of course, what happens in this game today. Heretics and M80 will then play in the final matchup. And then the last set of games in this group, Heretics and Weibo Gaming and FearX and M80. If you are Nip and you do not manage to put up enough points by round 4, you have the final day of groups off. That is devastating. That means that your fate will very likely be in the hands of somebody else. No team, no player ever wants to be in that situation. That's just the lay of the land for Group A, as we've got quite a long set of groups here in Phase 1 of SI.
Plenty still to be played for, but a scary spot for NIP nonetheless. I did do a fact check on you, Parker. There were no aces on the first day of the 6th Invitational, so unless there were some aces in our first set of games, I didn't see any, but unless there was 1 or 2 earlier today, that will be the first ace of the event from Hate, so congratulations to him. We've gone through operator bans. I like the Glaz ban coming out from NIP. A lot of respect being shown to Kino, in my opinion, the best sniper player in the world, so removing that tool from him. Yazami also being removed from M80. That was the primary operator played by Hates on the defense in yesterday's game versus Weibo. So I think showing some respects to what has been the best ninja in the server today.
We get confirmation from our wonderful analyst, Fresh, that there were no aces. So this should be the very first one, other than the operator ace and the caster ace. So both of whom are in action. This is a quick one. Hot and Cold surviving. They try to sweep on over. Where is the coverage? Hot and Cold manages to get Diffuser down, and all hell will break loose with 9 players still alive. Candela's tossed out by Kino. A shotgun in hand. As Gavin plays from down below, very leisurely picks off Hates. Pino eliminating Kino means that the disruption from the Candelas are no more. Cons will drop, still searching for his very first kill. Through 6 rounds, he escaped that first half without being able to draw blood against his opponents. Diffuser on double duty, watching the defuse kit, but they are very quickly running out of time on the side of Nip. Wizards last alive, Diffuser gets 2, Gavin and Gunner 1 apiece. And what a quick tempo for the very first round of this second half. M80 will regain the lead, something we've said now 3 times.
And a very M80 attack to start their offensive side here in Paris. I love that play coming out from them. I think a really important piece of that push is Gavin playing down below. Because often what you're afraid of in that plant is being denied from that verticality, being denied from down below. Gavin had secured piano, so they knew they couldn't get denied horizontally. The smoke was playing over towards admin side, so the smoke was not going to have any opportunity to stop that plant. All they really had was the nitro cell from Cons, and that's great, but when you've got a Monty planting, you can block the vast majority of that explosive damage. Honko does go down, but he does his job before he does, so he managed to get the kit onto the floor. M80 really successful on that plant-focused push, and it shouldn't be a surprise to any of the fans of this North American team, because coming into this event, M80 had the highest plant percentage of any other team through the regular season of 2025. So we expect M80 to be very objective focused. We expect M80 to be very shield focused, and that's coming through in their first attack.
Hot and Cold back on the shields. Expect him to run Monty Blitz, one of those operators, through and through. No shield bans, as we see on the side of Ninjas in Pajamas. No shields were banned out by M80 on attack either. This is something that is a bit of a change. We saw an awful lot of shield bans leading up to the LCQs for this for this SI, and through those qualifiers, lots of shield bans. But at this point in time, if there's just too much utility, operators getting a lot of buffs, maybe shields aren't the big focus for teams.
I think a lot of it's the map too, right, Parker? Often with Consulate, you're struggling to get into the building, and shields aren't really what's going to help you do that. Normally, that's going to be more things like a Grim, like a Capitao, like a Ying, these displacement operators to actually get you through some of these really annoying windows. M80, no problems getting through the window in round 7, but still, that will continue to be an issue for them. Might be go to the basement for round number 8, and this is going to be a bit of a separation from what M80 want to do on their bomb site rotation. Already deep in through electrical. They're going to be hitting the server side very quickly here.
And with the wall being shot the way it is, and the door being barricaded, there's no way that M80 makes it without Nip hearing first. Nip is prepared and ready for this, though they are, for the time being, standing pat. They spy the Monty. At this point in time now, M80 knows. Nip knows. They both know. Now you know, but what we don't know is what will happen next.
Do they know about Fantasy? No, they obviously know Wizard's position, but Fantasy's been behind this pillar, I believe, the entire time. I don't think they know he's here, Parker.
Oh, and he kind of bottles the recoil on the SMG-11, so the element of surprise can only get you so far. Down goes Wizard at the hands of Kino. A flash goes in. Fantasy hits the shot onto the Monty. That might have defanged the entry from M80. A brawl will break out. Gavin coming out ahead as he breaks double digits. 11 kills. It's just 2 remaining for Nip. Pino sitting at 7 kills, second on the team. Cons still searching for kill number 1. Up against Gavin and Gunner. You're going to need some real heat on the side of Cons here. Gunner's assault going down spiral stairs as Gavin is waiting near the bomb site. He's just got to hope that Gunner can get there quick enough.
Yeah, at this point, the push from M80, I think, has done pretty much what it wanted to do, but now you've got 30 seconds to get a plant down. Really strong mirror windows still going to be in the site here. If they haven't cleared those out, the drop coming through from Gunner, hoping to find a pick.
And Gunner's got one of those death marks remaining. Gavin needs some help. Cons getting on the board. Gunner, in hopes of keeping this one close, will need to pull off a 1v2. Shotgun out, and he runs a little bit too quickly. 2 kills for Cons, both statement kills. High impact, high value. It's one thing to break that goose egg, but it's another to get 2 kills to win your team the round. Yet again, a tie game. M80 has not been able to shake this Nip team whatsoever.
He might not be at the top of the scoreboard, Cons, but he gets the kills when he needs to. Great anchor play coming through from him. I think M80 just a little bit low on time for that push. I thought their server clear was relatively successful, even given the misdrone of Fantasy. Of course, the whiff helped them a little bit in the midst of that, but regardless, they full focused on that server side push, ended up in the 2v2, couldn't really get the coordination that they wanted, pinching from 2 different angles. We see the shots coming through once again. Really nicely played, I think, by both teams on that server side, but the anchor play a bit better by Cons. And Gunner, you know, sometimes you're sprinting, you get a wrong call on where someone is. The time was pretty low there. It looks a little goofy maybe in the 1v1, but it happens.
I am impressed with this Nip team. This is M80's map. Nip kind of defied the odds in that first half and have now kept pace through 2 rounds. I'm going to say that round 1 of the second half was a bit of an aberration. M80 rushing in, getting a plant down very quickly. That's not the kind of thing that you can look at and say, I know how this team is going to play moving forward. What you do is you look at it and you say, that's a bit of a cheese play. M80 does cheese plays from time to time, and Consulate is a map where you can get that very quick cheese plant down. So I get it. But that round we just saw was much more traditional consulate, and both teams came as close as you could get a 1v1. About as close as the scoreline has been in the entire match. So Nip obviously learning from their matchup yesterday and bringing a little bit more fire up against a team that absolutely warrants it. If you showed up off your game, M80 would be making mincemeat out of you.
Hate's going to be playing on this Boss G visual. We saw this from him on the Piano Bomb site back at the Munich Major, so this is not going to be brand new, but obviously Visual Boss G is not what it was a couple of years ago, so it isn't always as effective as sometimes you want it to be.
Well, hold on a second, but the people I play with in Ranked, they make it seem like nothing's changed.
Listen, King Stompin was putting some crazy work with that gun yesterday, so it can still have a lot of impact, but you got to know how to use it correctly. Early entry once again from Hot and Cold, sticking on this Montaigne, yet to find the space up against Pino on the stairs.
And this would be 2 rounds in a row where Nip were very successful at rebuffing that Monty.
True.
That is hard to do.
Not so hard to clear at the Vigil if you're Gunner. He does find him on the window, so not as successful with that gun, but you are okay losing the Vigil. It wasn't going to be a critical part of this defense. Anyways, you were
true. He hit the boss.
You were just hoping to work a pick with him. It didn't happen. You've got your hard anchor operator still up, right? Pino on that Warden, Cons on that Pulse, even Fantasy on the Mozzie with that Nitro Cell could be a really important operator. They have conceded top floor with that Vigil's Def, so that offers a lot of space to M80, but that doesn't mean it's going to be easy to get into the bomb site. It doesn't mean it's going to be simple to take this, especially if these Nitros can land.
I mean, Hates has been their best player from the mid-round on.
Yeah.
Losing him so early in the round means that that parachute that you have is significantly weaker, if even there at all. That relies on your player like Fantasy to step up huge, or your support/anchor players, which Nip has some. And there goes Kino, not expecting Pino to work his way up those yellow stairs, evading the Gridlock's tracks that had been spread out. Diffuser has no more track stingers available. Hot and Cold has found safe shelter inside the bomb site, and he has Diffuse Kit in hand. Nobody from Nip seems to be any the wiser. Great coverage. Nitro Cell comes out, but it's a bit belated. Khan's starting to heat up at this point. 3 kills through 2 rounds, Jesse, and an advantage for Nip. But in the post plant, usually you have to wonder, what can the defenders do to regain this position? Fantasy hops on the Diffuse Kit, a rush in. Easy picks for Diffuser and Gavin. Diffuser shrugging off some damage above. Gunner side by side. There goes Pino. And now it's up to Fantasy to clutch this one out, trying to long arm through the wall, avoiding the fire of the Capitao, being tracked by the Death Mark. Gavin gets the job done. So much gadget saved by M80 for the post plant. I feel like a broken record here, Jesse, but M80 will take the lead again.
A bit tragic that Reinforce and Disable are on the same button. But it happens. I don't think it would have changed the result of that round. Strongly held in M80's favor. I have to imagine this is going to be a Monty ban coming through from NIP. Hot and Cold has been way too good with this operator. If it doesn't get removed, I will be shocked. It's Deimos instead. All right. They clearly have a game plan. They think they can counter the Monty. Let's hear how they're going to do it.
Do we do listen-ins on the B stream?
We might not be doing listen-ins on the B stream, Parker. That's my mistake. So
we do as much as we can, Jesse.
My apologies. Well, we will not hear.
Sorry, chat. Jesse is too much of an A stream gal today.
My apologies. You know what? We wouldn't have even understood them because they're in Portuguese, of course. Anyways.
I'm letting you steer the ship. You wanted to do a non-existent listen-in in a language you don't speak, and I admire you for that. I really got to say, that's some A+ planning there.
I shoot for the stars, Parker, and sometimes I miss, but at least I'm shooting high. I go back to this Monty point with Hot and Cold, right? Coming into this event through the 2025 season, Hot and Cold had more plants than any other human being on the planet in Professional Rainbow Six. Entered the game with 69 plants. With the 2 plants so far through the 3rd quarter, he'll be up to 71 on the season, which continues to be the highest of anybody in the world. It's something that NIP really need to focus on, I think, through these last 3 rounds, because twice now, Hot and Cold has just snuck a plant down under their nose. That time, he goes in through Closet to very default plants, just through the closest window available to him to the bomb site, and the players on NIP were really scattered. You saw the flank going up yellow stairs. Fantasy was all the way over towards Spiral when that plant was going down. You had a couple other players kind of towards benches and over on the east side of the map. Nobody was really near the site there for NIP. So I hope that tack timeout was something about reining things in, not letting those diffuse kits get down so consistently, and finding some way to stop hot and cold on this Montaigne.
I don't know if Maria is able to hear the timeouts. I don't know if she's in the pit, but I know that she did some translating for the A stream yesterday. It is quite advantageous to have a multilingual translator. Maria is here to do interviews and hilarious content, like when she gave Psycho his birthday cake. She is now 2 for 2 on delivering birthday cakes to players who have just lost.
Yes.
The cake was very good, by the way. I had a little bit of it yesterday. It was, look, defeat is a bitter taste, but the cake was delicious. So, some good, some bad.
Yeah, Psycho turning 27 yesterday, of course, and was on that NIP roster when they won the 6 Invitational a few years ago. Here in Paris.
In Paris.
That's true. Ninjas have been doing very well in Paris historically. So
Ninjas in Paris.
Ninjas in Paris. With things coming back here, you expect them to maybe rekindle some of that old magic, but it's a very different team. Only Pino, of course, sticking along with that roster. So time will tell if they can bounce back. This last quarter is going to be absolutely critical. With us returning to the top floor, I really want to see them adapting a bit to that window play. I don't think it's going to happen from M80, but you are seeing that Tachanka playing a little bit closer towards the west side of the map. That should do them some good.
It's been so long since we've been in the saddle together that I forgot you were doing the quarters thing.
I mean doing the quarters thing. We're in the 4th quarter. With the op bans, the game's separated very nicely into quarters.
Okay.
And halves, but quarters too. I believe in our viewers' ability to divide 12 by 4.
I don't. The reason why... never mind. You know what? Let's just focus on the game here, because this round has gone by very, very quickly. We are already past the halfway point. Cons has taken a bit of damage. At this point in time, if you're Tachanka, you need to play more sheltered and get the remaining 16 of those Molotovs shot out of your Shumika launcher. Maybe not. Gunnar will use his flames, which happen to be a little bit more damaging, to take down that Tachanka. Cons is gone. Diffuser is gone. Now Kino looking for follow-up. Kino just 2 kills so far, but he hasn't been in a position where he's been relied upon, especially with Gavin and Diffuser gobbling up all the kills, and now Gunnar heating up here in the 3rd and 4th quarter.
You don't think of Gunnar as a Capital player, but he gets great value out of that Firebolt, and now we can see M80 starting to get things a little bit more opened up. Hot and Cold Yellow is still going to be the brunt of this push. That's where he wants to take this, but he's actually exited the building and is going to rotate over to the CEO window, regrouping with Gunnar, hoping to do a similar plant to what they did last time, but the difference, Parker, is they have very little time, and Hot and Cold is on a sliver of HP.
Capital receiving a buff like many other operators just a couple weeks ago. It's nice to see him here. Gunnar will find yet another. Using the parents of the DMR is a bit of a choice. Nip finding a succession of kills very, very quickly. Now Houghton just has Gunnar for that coverage. Down goes Houghton, and Gunnar is outside. No team has won consecutive rounds. And it will happen yet again. Nip clawing back. Nip has tied or trailed through this entire match. Through 10 rounds, 5 for M80, 5 for Nip, and we are guaranteed all 12.
Tough push coming through from M80. Obviously, the adaptations were there for NIP. And
Oh,
we
yeah,
got to
kasi
see how
tangan dia,
M80 tried to
NIP
adapt to
mo.
that. We did see the C4 coming in from down below.
Nampak
Previously, it was
magigilo.
Gavin. That controlled that portion of the map for M80. Didn't stop any vertical denial from coming through. This time, he was pushing up the yellow stairs. He gets caught off guard midway through that push. Kino is well on the Ying, not having a lot of impact in the midst of that. So despite some good kills from Gunnar, the game plan wasn't quite enough. That's the death from Kino that you saw, not a lot of impact. And then there goes the Nitro to finish off the planter. So good adaptations from NIP. You can see some of that tack timeout coming through, how they're addressing that CEO window plant. A little surprised that M80 chose to go for it again, but it did feel like more of a backup plan given they didn't have the buck and given they started towards yellow stairs.
Look at the lineup for M80 now as they load in here for what should be an M80 win, at least based on the precedent that's been set. No team has won back-to-back rounds, but the color that they use, both of them using this like yellow-green color,
Okay.
so far 100% success rate. That color green has won all 10 rounds. It's really good stuff.
My stats shows that they lost all 10 rounds, that color.
That is also true.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
wanted to
but
make sure.
The color has won all 10 rounds, but also lost all 10 rounds.
Not a bad day to be the color of.
I don't know what color it is. I have no
Puke
idea.
green?
Like, yeah, it's like a snot green. I don't. It's a
Sorry,
little bit more
sorry.
yellow present.
Wow.
I'd love for if anybody here from Ninjas in Pajamas or M80 have like the Pantone that you want to just tell me. Is there like a hex code that we can use for your color? I was actually kind of taken aback by that because also like the BNK FearX logo is more yellow.
Sure.
But when I was looking at the groups and I was doing notes, I was like, oh, all these teams share that, and then it's like you've got like the kind of like yellowish orange.
Yeah.
From Weibo as well.
And
so
Heretics as well, kind of
yeah,
browny
Heretics
yellow.
is in there. Kino now sprinting in. He's on shield duty this time. Hot and cold freed from Montaigne. He'll be on a very typical hard breach. Gunner staring at a position where one of the funniest clips to come out of the Munich Major, where he played Keep Away, occurred. Down to the stairs now patrolled by Cons. Halfway point of this round. As we have gotten deeper into this matchup, Jesse, things have slowed down quite a lot.
Yeah, they certainly have, Parker. And with this heavy roam game that was being played by NIP, it wasn't an easy thing to clear. They've mostly cleared it now. Hate's still going to be playing a position on the east side of the map over towards Visa Stairs, but broadly these players have all retreated back to the bottom floor without any casualties. Now, Fantasy flanks up Spiral. This might not be known by M80, and if the young player on NIP could get away with something that could be big, they pop a logic bomb and he runs right back to site.
First Bloods really have not been a huge factor in this series. Only impacted 4 of the 10 rounds so far. And M80 have been exceptional at drawing First Blood, and it just continues to get better and better and better. The first flawless round of this series will come in round 11, and M80 regains the lead again. M80 has never led by more than a single round. That still holds true. NIP yet to have a lead in this map. And now they find themselves on the ropes. M80 will look to do something they have not been able to do, and that's win 2 rounds back-to-back. If they pull it off, they put Consulate, their own map, in the win column with a 7-5 scoreline. If they falter, we go to overtime.
Still attack timeout in M80's pocket as well. So if things start to fall apart for them, they have that coach to fall back on in terms of Fabian. It was a great push from M80, I have to say, Parker. They were really pulling the attention away from NIP by forcing that plant. You saw Kino over towards Radio by Pillar, getting that plant on the ground, but that didn't mean that they were ignoring the top floor. The flank from Fantasy eventually got shut down on his retreat down the spiral stairs. Then you saw Gunner front door finding 2 players who were trying to get re-aggressed up onto that mid floor. So it really did feel like M80 had all the bases covered, forcing the plant on the bottom floor while still watching for the aggression on the mid floor. It feels like they're in total control of that push. They won't get to attack that bomb site again, at least not until we head into overtime, as that is Piano for our final bomb site here on the map. Last time we went to Piano, Parker, that was round number 9. It was a successful M80 attack. It was that hot and cold Monty plant, but he gives the operator over to Kino, which to me signals they might be going for something a bit different.
Teams are 50-50 on this bomb site, but the attackers are at a 100% victory. NIP played this bomb site back in round number 2, and it was their very first successful attack. And as you pointed out, round number 9, M80 successful on attack as well. So something's got to break at this point. Either the defenders have to win, or that back-to-back round stat for M80 has to be broken. All we know is we've got just a little over 2 minutes to go, and if you're NIP, you're going to be happy with where you're at, but there's still a little bit more work to be done before you set yourself up for your own map.
I want to see a big round out of Hates. He's roaming top floor and CEO, playing on that mute this time around. And don't forget, he ended the first half with 9 kills.
Yep.
Now almost concluding the second half, he is at 10. The best player on attack for NIP today hasn't really been impactful, but here on the site, he's the first to fall.
I believe Fantasy had 7 kills in the first half as well.
Yeah.
The fraggers on the side of NIP have completely fallen off. Cons has picked up 5 kills now just through this second half. He's gone! Hot and cold and Diffuser taking no prisoners inside the site. Diffuser lucky number 13. Gavin on 13. Gunner on 12. The kills are certainly there for M80. But what about the map control? Halfway point of a very pivotal 12th round. NIP still holding on that top floor. So plenty of time for M80 to try to flush them out. But You have to go quickly. You cannot fall behind on this clock.
Yeah, we've fallen back to a plan B, not dissimilar to round 10, where M80 initially tried to rush the bomb site, get something very quick down on the ground like they did in round 9, but this time it doesn't go so well. They're not as confident with their Monty dying, so they pull things back. Hot and Cold jumps back out the closet window, and they're going to try to reposition. They're still there on the west side of the map, so I still think they're going to try to play around those windows, maybe yellow stairs, but it's just going to be awkward with all these defenders around this spot.
They're trying to bait out Diffuser, and they'll do so successfully, but immediately shut back down in response. Hot and Cold and Gunner now will have to sweep the leg as Fantasy and Hate still remain. What a duo for Nip to have remaining. Hot and Cold thinks he has the idea. He had a good read on Hates' position. Hates just looking for it, and he'll pull trigger. Pino still down. Gunner with 30 seconds left will take matters into his own hands. M80 going for a very linear execute. Up gets Pino. Control over towards yellow. A scamper towards the bomb site. In the post plant. Gunner will now have his hands full in a 1v3 to try and win this map outright without needing overtime. It might be a Herculean task, but Gunner has pulled this off. He's a major winning MVP for good reason. He hears the herd of elephants from above. Waiting patiently. Nip biding their time. They'll double up, looking for the push into the bomb sites. There goes one. Pino down for the count. Gunner repositioning. Tearing strips off of Fantasy, but where is Hates? All the while just killing time. Can they hop on the diffuser? They'll get it by a second. Nip hangs on, and we'll go to overtime in map 1 of this series.
It does not get much closer than that. Gunner nearly does the impossible again on the piano bomb site, but this time it just is a little bit better for NIP. Coordination is good. Timing is close, but it's good enough for the Ninjas. They get down for the disable. Really nicely played by them. They never conceded that top floor. Big difference between that round and the previous time they played that bomb site, Parker. They continued to play up above. Hot and Cold with that plant spot really was optimistic, trying to get it down. It's difficult to deny from the verticality, but it's not impossible, and NIP were very ready for it.
And he knew they were there. He knew Hates was there. He looked right at him, but because of the way that the floor goes, there are those metal beams. He couldn't see Hates' head because of his vantage point.
Yeah.
If he had stayed ADS and just stepped maybe 1 or 2 times to the right, he very likely would have had a read on the mute.
Yeah.
But he did not, and because of that, they were able to hold that top floor. M80 had 90 seconds to put one person up on the top floor. We knew they had top floor control. M80 knew they had top floor control, but they decided to gamble on it. It's not a bad gamble, but it's still a gamble. And you often want to go for the sure bet. M80 figured that with the clock being what it was, a linear take was all they could get, and they almost pulled it off.
Yeah.
But 1 second difference is all that matters. And now we have at least 2 more rounds.
Just didn't have time to, I think, go for anything a little bit more thorough, but sometimes that is the game that we play. I want to credit Hates as well. He got that vertical denial onto Hot and Cold, and I was just talking about how we went a little quiet in that second half. Well, he gets the kills when it matters and forces this game into overtime. Keep in mind, this is M80's map pick. They are expected to win this as the reigning major champions, but NIP are no easy opponent despite their result from yesterday, so they're giving them a run for their money. M80 do get a start on defense, and on the most defender side of map that we have in the competitive pool, that should be a boon for them. Gunner bringing out the Thorn, which ranked players will know has been devastating the lobbies recently, and of course with those new buffs to her traps, it can be really awkward running into a doorway if you don't know they're there.
Almost every part of Thorn was buffed.
Yeah.
It was an incredible amount of changes that Ubisoft doled out just a couple weeks ago. My goodness, and Gunner almost losing his life before we could even see the Irish operator do all that much. Thorn having about the same presence in pro play as I do, so it's nice to see her active. And now, this is also a map where Thorn works really well for plant denial. Because of the changes to the timer on those Razor Blooms, you can throw a Razor Bloom while the diffuse is going down, and it will activate quickly enough that it will kill the planter. Almost like a nitro.
Come on.
The hero of the previous round, Hates, is given a pretty anticlimactic send-off as we hit the halfway point of the first round of OT, and Hates and Deimos are in the ground.
Nice kill from Diffuser. Vaults his 2 teammates to get most kills now in the lobby, but it's not over just yet. NIP looking for one of these picks. Vending Hall not being contested so heavily this time, Parker. That was a boon for NIP the last time that they won this bomb site. And Cons on the Blackbeard finally gets his first kill on attack.
Pino has been deceptively good. The highest rated player for Ninjas in Pajamas through these 12 rounds, just as he was yesterday, the highest rated player too. Again, you typically don't want Pino to be the guy who's getting all the kills, especially the high value ones, but hey, if you're Nip, you'll take all the help you can get. And boy, oh boy, has Pino's presence been welcomed. Khan 6 kills through the last 7 rounds. That is a pretty terrific metric, and he can do more on this Blackbeard. As you said, his struggles were on attack, though. Down goes Gavin to Fantasy, who exchanged an awful lot of his HP, as did Pino, to take up a bit more map control. Final 30 seconds, Diffuser finds his second. Down goes Pino to Diffuser. Everybody dying at the hands of the player who clutched out in this exact same position all the way back in round number 1. But Diffuser is making it a little bit easier. With 10 seconds left now, M80 just needs to be ever so patient. Razor Bloom's going off, giving position away. Cons at the halfway point of the Diffuse kits. Gunner and Hot and Cold are there to finish the job. M80 regain the lead. Nip must win this round to stay in. They are almost out of runway. And again, no team able to win back-to-back rounds here on Consulate.
Another close one coming through from Nip as well. Saw them rotate their east push over to the north side, over towards Bathroom and top spiral, and it almost worked, but M80's positioning was too good, Parker. Gunner retreats to the east. We see Hot and Cold retreats towards yellow. Diffuser kind of sticks inside a meeting tucked close in the meeting window. They really spread apart their defenders, but they did so to allow NIP to walk into the site. Time was low. They're in a man advantage, and as long as NIP are planting, that's a 3v1. M80 played that so well in the micro. They knew exactly how they had to win that round. Didn't get over aggressive, didn't overextend, and did get that 7th round to take the lead in overtime.
Nipper looking in mighty fine form. Go all the way back to the Munich Major. Yes, we've mentioned that M80 won that event. You will hear the terms defending major champs used a lot when M80 are playing, and you just have to get over that, whether it's Jesse and I or any of the other talented folks here that are working on our broadcast team. But Ninjas in Pajamas were a team that were deceptively good. They took out a lot of heavy hitters in North America. They were the North American Reapers on the way to that main stage performance that they had. And if you talk to a lot of the teams that were present in Munich, they told you people are sleeping on this Nip squad. When Nip are on, they can very easily be a top 5 team at that event. I don't see any reason why they couldn't be here as well. Yes, yesterday was maybe a bit of a frustrating game, but there are teams that have had those first day jitters and gone on to win the whole thing. So, small sample size, Nip showing up really, really well. And again, even if they lose, this is M80's map. Nip have been able to keep M80 on the ropes, and that is a point of pride. Who knows what will happen when we move off of Consulate.
I really like this castle setup coming through from NIP. They've put it on the closet door so that M80 can't do that quick rush-in that they've liked to do on this bomb site. It's going to force some adaptations to come through from the North Americans, and we see that in their positions. A lot of east side players from these guys. We see Gunner, Gavin, Kino all working the admin/visa side of the map. Gunner inside of servers for the basement as well. So a lot of pressure going to be focused on, I think, clearing through the other side of the map before they get towards the bomb site. Does that mean full clearing the players up above? That's what we're going to find out.
I mean, if you think that they're going in too quickly, Castle's a terrific operator to slow it down. Denari's available, Legion's available, Ella is available. We've seen all those operators get brought a few times. Hot and Cold, the first casualty for M80. That is not ideal. You have lost your IGL, you've lost your hard breach.
Yeah.
He's not on shields, though. They have shuffled that around. Now Kino is on a very familiar role.
I believe it was just a meeting window where Hates was able to take down Hot and Cold on the balcony, so his team now left alone to clear somewhat one-dimensionally through the vending hall.
Ella finding an awful lot with a single Guzmat mine. Gunner taking down Cons again. Cons has been one of the best players for Nip over the last 20 to 30 minutes. Without him, things might be a little bit trickier. You draw even in terms of player count, 4v4 with a little over a minute to go. This is sent from M80 now, looking at Projector over towards Long Desk. Wizard holding this spot just in case someone pushes over towards Lobby. Now it's Gunner taking some damage from Fantasy. The being buffed as well, added to the list of things that got a little bit better just a couple weeks ago with the mid-season changes.
Yep.
Castle Barricades, though, Still really annoying if you don't have any hard breach or a sledge.
Yeah, don't forget, top floor is not the bomb site, so despite this clear coming through from M80, they've still got a lot. They don't have much time to rotate this now down to the mid floor. Kino has made his way into lobby. He's just outside the bomb site, but there's a lot of defenders holding this, and they've got the mirror windows.
And he's completely fearless. He'll just charge on in. They were seeing him in the black mirror. He walks in, but you have to have some faith in your teammates. Diffuser is there to hold it together. Kino now taking some damage. Fantasy struggling his own way through. It's Calamity. Pino with 3 kills. Gavin as the last man standing. 10 seconds left to pull off a 1v2. If not, we go all the way, all 15 rounds. Gavin against You gotta be kidding me!
What?
An incredible flick by Gavin, and we are all dumbfounded. His teammates dumbfounded, the look of surprise on all of their faces. It seemed certain that we would go to round 15, but Gavin pulls it off with a second left.
90! That was one of the nastiest shots I've ever seen. That might be the nastiest clip of Gavin's career. Jesus, the flick up to the roof, knows where he's gonna be. He's got the game sense to expect that angle, and then he doesn't even see him, Parker. That is all just reflex. What a ridiculous shot from one of the star players on M80.
To borrow a phrase from one of the legendary casters of another esport, inhuman reactions. I am just astounded with that one.
You can't counter that.
There's nothing you can do. You can't teach that. You can't prep for that.
Yeah.
Ridiculous stuff. And it will break the hearts of Nip and their fans. But again, win or lose, winning the goal, Nip need to be happy ultimately with that performance. Still coming up a little bit empty-handed. M80 finally winning back-to-back rounds. Nip spent the entirety of that game tied or trailing. It was a tough one. They will look towards Bank, which is map 2, hoping to draw even in this series. But what more is there to say about this match?
Parker, I think the numbers speak for themselves. 15, 16, 17. The trident of M80 really came alive today. All 3 of those players have fantastic performances. People might talk about Kino doing 12, but I thought he was playing his role. I didn't see any massive mistakes coming out from the Brazilian on M80, so I don't want to flame him too hard for that. NIP played a good game too. Maybe took him a bit more time to get locked in with things, but end of the day, they really did find some good spots.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, everybody really seemed to show up. I don't think there was really any weak links there. Yeah, we'll point fingers at Cons for that first half.
Sure.
But the first half still ended 3-3.
Yeah.
But if the Cons that showed up in the second half, who was clearly a little bit more confident and a little bit more mechanically talented, had showed up, even in 1 or 2 rounds in that first half, who knows what would have happened. We probably wouldn't have needed overtime. We probably would have seen a Nip victory. But for Ninjas in Pajamas, they've got their own map choice up next. Bank will either decide the fate of this series or propel us to a third map. What will we see? We'll find out in a couple minutes.
Gila, geng. Saya nak buat full stream lah.
Well, a sensational end to an incredible map that honestly, if it had gone 14 rounds, 15 rounds, doesn't matter. Still would have been a thrilling affair, but my, what a highlight reel clip from Gavin to break the spirits of Ninjas in Pajamas. Now, Jesse, Bank is a good map for both of these teams, but it is Nip's pick.
Yeah.
What are your expectations when we cue into this second map? Do you think it's going to be a 2-0 for M80? Or do you think we go to Chalet for map 3?
I think we're going to see one of two different NIPs this map, Parker. We're either going to see the NIP that came into today confident picking Bank because they know how M80 like to play on it. M80, 3-game winning streak on this map, but there is a lot of footage going back to the major, going back through stage 2. We kind of know how M80 like to play this Bank, even though it's been a while. They've probably made some new strats. Of course, you're never going to know fully what a team's been working on in the background. The other reality is that their minds are so shaken from that pistol clip from Gaveni that they frankly forget how to play Rainbow Six Siege, and they show up and the mental is just not there. It's something that I remember talking with, I think it was Fox in the green room about just yesterday, where NIP are a very mental team. You know, they can get in their own heads. We've seen that from them all season long in the SAL League, and it really has kind of been a story of this NIP team who are great when they're great and almost losing to Los when they're not. So we hope to see the best version of NIP in this game. If we do, I think this goes to a third. I think they can take a map off M80 and bring this one close, but given the stakes, given the situation where they're at, there's no guarantee that that's what we get out of NIP.
This is a situation where we will have such great benefit of hindsight once we move past this series. We go, well,
sure.
Yeah, of course. Gavin broke their spirits. No wonder it was a 2-0. Or, oh my, did you see how close map 1 was? No wonder we went to map 3. This is why our job is sometimes easy. But certainly easy for us when we can pretend to be these experts. In all reality, the experts are going to be the coaches. The experts are going to be these players. You saw the prep work that NIP did for this series. They played significantly better against M80 in map 1 than they did at any point during Weibo yesterday. So maybe it was just a little bit of the first day jitters. Again, teams struggle. Sometimes teams are a bit jet lagged. Sometimes teams don't boot camp in Europe. M80 flew to Fabian's home country of Sweden. It's not just that he lives in Sweden. He lives in the northern remote part. Basically, as he puts it, in the middle of bum blank nowhere. A word that I choose not to say on the broadcast. But they went up there, they boot camped, they spent some time in the sauna, they didn't get to really see the sun. And would you believe it, now here they are in gloomy, rainy Paris. And they were ready right away. Some teams don't get to boot camp, some teams aren't ready. Maybe NIP just needed to shrug it off. They looked really good against the defending major champs in map 1. I expect that will carry over to map 2.
Yeah, not exactly sure what the boot camp situation was for NIP, but I know historically, I mean, NIP, a Swedish organization, so they have done boot camps in Sweden as well. Wouldn't surprise me if they were in the same country as M80 during that boot camp, but now they're in France. Now it's time to put the real pedal to the metal. Make sure that you can get everything going on this second map, and make sure you're not in your head too much. We saw it from Hates. He had a really good start to that game and then fell off a little bit on the defense. I'm really going to be looking to him and his entry to World Fantasy to start things strong on Bank and give the team the best chance that they can have.
Now, I'm actually very glad that you mentioned that, because even though they are a Brazilian organization, in Counter-Strike, another esport, one that a lot of us are fans of, you've got some legendary Swedish players that have played for the Ninjas in Pajamas, Freiburg, Get Right Forest, etc. They might have a Brazilian team right now, but their roots run through Sweden, and they'll have to deal with the Swedish coach on the other side of M80. Ninjas in Pajamas hoping for a better result on Bank than they had on Consulate. If they don't get a better results, it's a 2-0 for the defending major champs, and NIP stays at the bottom of Group A in serious jeopardy of going home with 0 points. So you're not in the danger zone just yet, but NIP can see it, and it's coming pretty quick.
Yeah, and we didn't see any shield bans on Consulate, Parker. I think we will on Bank. That's my general prediction, and it will be Monty immediately removed. So hot and cold, not going to have that liberty afforded to him. Of course, we know how good these teams can both be on shields. Kaid, the first ban, very common on this map. Mira would be the standard second defender to get banned out on Bank. But they go Echo instead. A bit of a curveball being tossed by M80. Echo is one of those operators that we definitely can see getting a lot of play, both on the bottom floor, but also on the top floor to give some of that information. really easy to hide yokais around this map. It can be so big. The ceiling's so hard to scan for some of that utility. So I definitely like the Echo Band coming through. They just need to make sure they have answers to the Mira if it does come out on the side of NIP. Not being brought in round 1, but you talk about that janitor position, and it can be so annoying to clear that operator out.
I don't know if anybody here watches the former major winning coach Mint. He used to be with DZ and then very briefly was actually with a great deal of this M80 roster on that unwanted team that competed and finished in the top 4 was it, of SI at Boston last year.
Yeah.
But Mint did an excellent video on Thorn's application as an operator, and this particular bomb site was one that he highlighted for both Thorn and Echo. Echo also received a buff. Now he has 3 yokai drones. Thorn obviously can be used for plant denial on the very common A-bomb bombs or A-bomb plant site. Now there's 2 default spots by A, which kind of defeats the purpose of being called default. There only should be 1. But typically, you've got the one right next to the bomb chassis, and then you've got the one up by the hole in the wall that you can see towards the top of your screen. So usually they'll open that up, they'll get in, they'll plant, or they'll plant right next to that A-bomb site. That you could throw a razor bloom there, and it will kill you immediately if it's thrown well enough. So do we see her for this map? I want to say no, just because I don't think teams have figured out strats with Thor yet, but we did see one round of her where her razor bloom did actually have quite a bit of impact on console. So you never know.
I don't think it's a surprise that Gunnar brought out Thorn for the first time in overtime as well. Once you get to the later parts of the game, when probably your mind isn't thinking about all the stuff your coach was telling you before the match, like maybe watch out for Thorn traps, that can sometimes be where those trap operators find the most amount of success. So not going to see it starting in round 1, but wouldn't be surprised if we do see it later on in this game. It is basically a full anchor setup. We see a little bit of aggression coming out with Hates playing on this elevator hatch. Still, we see Pino on the server stairs, but broadly, this is a full 5-man anchor, and M80 have brought the proper tools to deal with that. You've got a crazy execute combo coming out from M80 with Ying and Grim and Capitao and Deimos. I mean, other than the Habana, every single one of these operators is built to push the sites. They're going to use some of that util now to push the stairs as well. I can't imagine Pino was long for this world.
I want to say thanks to Nova as well for observing and just showing off where exactly that Razor Bloom can go. Just past the halfway point of this round. And the assault from M80 over in server. Are they aware of Pino's position over on these blue stairs? Pino and Kino in a collision course. This happened a few times on consulates. Pino will win the duel, but Hot and Cold immediately refrags. Not exactly the best to lose your Ying with all those Candelas going in pocket, but so it goes sometimes.
Cons has been downed as well. He was actually all the way back in around gold. Not 100% sure how he did get downed, but picked back up by his teammate now. So we're happy to see the Tachanka back on the board. Losing both him and the Mute would have been brutal for this defense, but 40 seconds to go. So here comes the util.
They're just trying to deal with the clash. Fantasy tried to put it away, but you can't bikini body your way out of that position these days. Khan's taking quite a bit of damage as well. That's a minute eclipsed from the clock. So M80 steadily chipping away at this NIP defense. Shamika Launcher will fire out those Molotovs, denying safe passage for M80 to walk in. What a shot from Wizard. I mean, after that Gavin shot, everything looks very pedestrian at this point in time. Gavin's still very much alive with Diffuse Kit in hand, felled by Wizard, who himself is having a great round, and my goodness, he does just about everything himself. NIP winning round number 1, and for the first time in this entire series, Ninjas in Pajamas have a lead.
Nice to see them finally get up on the board with an advantage, but it really does feel like M80 had the tools to win that round, Parker. The time was low, but not brutally low. They had server control. They had, again, so much utility with all the operators that they brought. Losing Kino is unfortunate. And, you know, I said after he went 2 and something on map 1 that I didn't think he made any brutal mistakes. Round 1 here, that's one that you expect to win. You're the Ying on server stairs. He goes with the shotgun. It's a little bit too far on the range. Maybe needed the secondary out for there. Loses this opening duel. Dies with a bit of utility in the pocket as well. And then in the end, it gets a little messy. I'm not exactly sure what Fantasy was doing there in the Clash. He doesn't play Clash on this site historically. I don't think he's ever played Clash on this bomb site, at least not with my data. So it's strange to see, but Wizard locks things down from the long angle inside a garage. Great play coming through from him. Maybe if there is a Monty there to help with the plant, you can avoid that. But in the end, they just don't have the bodies. They go deep. And NIP, as you said, take their first lead of the series.
I know that he's not one of the two star fraggers on the side of Nip, but Pino has really been putting in an immense amount of work and providing terrific value. He did so in the Weibo match. He did so in map number 1, and I expect him to hold on here. Honestly, we focused a lot on fantasy and a little bit hates, especially that fantasy stat that was touted a few times in Munich, which is that if fantasy is able to draw first blood, or if he goes positive, the likelihood that Nip wins rises exponentially. Ignore all the other 4 players, just focus on one. If fantasy dies, Nip's chances usually go with him. But what both of these teams really have in common is incredibly deep support. Yes, both Kino and Hot and Cold did not rack up a ton of kills in the previous map. Same with Wizard and Cons. But if these support players can do well, provide value, provide calls, that allows players like Hates, that allows players like Diffuser and Gavin to pull off the unthinkable. Best player of the previous round for Nip is their support player, a Wizard, and he's unfortunately the first one to die here in round 2.
And I'm going to have to file that one in under a caster curse, Parker. Hype up Wizards. Great support to play in round 1. He is the first to die, just droned out. Really nice util play with the nade. There's not a whole lot that he could have done from that position. Great push to come through onto the top floor, but now you've got to look even farther. This bomb site is up above. There's one roamer you've got to worry about downstairs. That's Hates, and if you caught it earlier in the round, he did manage to hack one of those drones on Mozzie, another operator that got buffed. And maybe with that info, they're getting confident to go for swings. Cons catches Hot and Cold on a drone and equalizes the numbers to 4.
I'm a little surprised that Houghton nor anybody else on M80 had the wherewithal to protect that double door at Square Stairs. It is not uncommon for a defender, if nobody is holding the rappel outside or the skylight, to swing somebody on drone. You can swing them through the double doors. You can swing them through both of the windows inside of that stock trading portion of the map as well. Houghton was very exposed there, and unfortunately, he's gone. Good news for M80, you've still got some secondary hard breach, as you've got the ace with 1 Selma remaining. But you're running out of time if you're M80. Down goes Fantasy. I don't know if that was an ego swing. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish there, but a relatively free pick for Kino.
Not sure if he didn't hear the castle being blown up or what, but the nades have done great work for M80 in this round. Effectively resulted in 2 kills for them so far, and we start to repel in. It's immediately nitro out by Kino, but the Fuser still has the kit.
And just trading back and forth and back and forth. M80 coming out ahead with all of these blows. It's Hates and Cons now as the 2 last standing for Nip, outnumbered by M80 as Gavin just runs in, heads for the hills. He didn't expect Cons to be playing in this connector position. A swing in. Where is the intel? Nobody from M80 seems to be working with what info they have. Cons now just biding time as Gunner walks up. 1 second left. And Cons will hit the deck and win. Back-to-back rounds for Nip to start their own map, and things look a little bit out of sync with this M80 team.
And immediately one thing you're seeing from NIP is they've done a great job of disrupting some of these pushes from M80 before they can get to the execute phase. We talk about M80's playstyle, Parker. They love the shields, they love the plants. They're going to be focused on the objectives every single time. So if you can disrupt their plans, if you can get a pick early, kill the Ying early on round 1, kill Hot and Cold on the Habana early on round 2, it starts to force M80 to adapt. It forces them to go to these backup plans. And I think they're a great team when it comes to adapting, but so far through these first 2 rounds, they haven't been able to turn them into round wins. Lost a lot of time with that diffuse kit getting dropped by Hot and Cold. Diffuser had to recover the diffuser, and in the end, Cons' position just wasn't one that they had utility to clear on out. Mentioned how good the nades were. Another one would have been great to put pressure on him, but they used all their nades at that point. So ultimately, they just don't have a great way into the bomb site. Gunner not enough time to clutch out the 1v1, and NIP looking strong on their own map pick.
This is where we can talk about hindsight, right?
Yeah.
This is where I can be like, well, of course they're up 2-0. Did you see map 1? They were so good.
Safe to say they're not choking after Gavin's little pistol clip to end out map 1.
And Nip picking this map and starting as defenders suggests that they should be the weaker side. They don't get to pick their own side, right? M80 would have chosen to attack first. Nip, therefore, should be struggling with this, but there really hasn't been, I guess, that much of a struggle. Both rounds were quite close, but something's just a little off with that M80 coordination, and Nip did an excellent job through both rounds of punishing those mistakes.
Yeah.
A lot of times, the success that you find, especially in the final moments of a round, are a combination of missteps from one side and capitalization from the other. So if you're going to wag your finger at one of the teams, which we're doing at M80, you've got to tip your cap at the other, which is what we're doing with NIP. Now the assault from M80 is coming on the windows of this top floor where the bomb site was previously, but is no longer.
bawah.
Both Diffuser and Kino posted up on this position. Problem with Bank, Jesse, you were exposed from an awful lot of angles, so usually you need somebody watching main lobby, and that's exactly what Gunner is doing. Logic Bomb will go out, and the advance will continue from M80, but Kino has been cut down from that rappel at the hands of Fantasy, and there goes Gavin to Pino. Intel has been such a problem for this M80 team. It will not get better in round number 3. Fantasy finds his second. And M80, within the span of 10 seconds, has been reduced to rubble.
Diffuser and Hot and Cold have so much to do at this point, Parker, with so much time still on the clock. But look at this. Back-to-back kills, and we're all even on the scoreboard. Now, I'm worried about Hates. He is top floor inside of stock. I don't think M80 know this. Look at Diffuser staring through the floorboards. If Hates times this correctly, there should be no hope for Diffuser to win this out. But it's a really big if. Diffuser with no information, assuming 2 are in the bomb sites. That's a bit of info for Hates. His Ella mine will trigger, and he'll go for the push.
And immediately read by Hates. This has happened in all 3 rounds now where somebody on M80 has tried to take up map control either because of bad intel or bad clock management, and they have been very swiftly punished. Now Hates and Cons get to compete for who gets the trophy that is the IGL of M80. Hot and Cold working his way towards the A site, and Hates is prepped and ready for it. A quick pop-up. Down goes the captain of M80, and Nip won 3 in a row. That is a perfect bomb site rotation. Do you start to sound the alarm bells at this point if you're M80?
Absolutely. I expect to see attack timeout coming through. We do need the operator bans first, but we will, I've gotten confirmation, see an M80 attack timeout after these operator bans do come through. So hopefully we can see M80 adapt a little bit. These opening picks have been very strong for NIP. They've won 2 of the 3 so far, but it always feels like they're winning the early engagements. I think that has to be the focus for M80 in this attack timeout. They can't hear him.
Yes, we can't hear him, but Fabian said they can't hear me. So it seems like the headphone issues that were all the way back in map number 1 persist. Just like the horrors, they persist.
Thankfully, this will not waste attack timeout.
That's correct. The timer might continue to run in-game, but there will be opportunities for that to be reset. Fabian's still trying to work through this problem. We had a brief tech pause all the way back in map number 1 to address this issue. The thing is, while M80 is unable to talk to their players, the headset is working on the side of NIP, so they can talk to each other.
Yep.
So what will happen is once the tech issues are resolved on the side of Fabian and M80, there will be another tech pause, but this one will allow for open comms for just M80. So Dan has already done his job talking to the rest of NIP. There will be a slightly longer delay as that headset gets fixed, and then Fabian is given an opportunity to talk to them once again.
And again, I hope the focus from Fabian here will be how do we stop M80 from, or stop NIP, I should say, from getting aggressive on us early, from breaking up our push before we get to do what we want to do. It feels like NIP had a great conversation between maps 1 and 2 where they got to say, hey, listen, maybe we haven't been as disruptive as we need to be. NIP are known to be kind of a slow and methodical team. But up against a squad like M80, you really do have to bring it to them when you're on the defense. You have to be able to play aggressive, and I think that's what they've done a great job of so far on the side of NIP. So for Fabian, finding an answer to that will be the focus. I'm sure he's got an answer prepped and ready, and as soon as he can communicate that to his players, then they should be ready to go for the second quarter of this game.
Turn your volume up real high. Crank it. Crank the volume.
As Matt said, we're so fucking slow that they just rotate to every single position. They kill you on the limit twice here. We need to fucking change things up. We can't be as predictable as we are. We're playing the first default shit, right? Sure, it works sometimes in practice. But if we know this is one time we can play it, we need to change things. Maybe even fucking walk their own mile. I don't know, honestly, I don't have the answer. We just can't do it now. I out in your own individual positions, and then let's go together.
Key points there if you didn't get to hear it. Maybe you just simply can't get your volume up high enough. Basically, Fabian said, we are too slow. We are not working well together. We are allowing them to rotate and pick us off one by one. And then said something that I don't think Fabian has ever said once in his life before, which is, I don't have the answers.
So figure it out.
So figure it out. You guys have to figure it out yourself in the server. And boy, oh boy, when a coach is saying that, that is not an ideal thing to hear. But when a guy named Fabian is saying that,
Yeah.
you know he means it, and you are maybe in a little bit of trouble.
I think it's also, though, a lot of trust in his players, right? I mean, M80, despite being one of the younger teams at this event, are a very smart team. Hot and Cold, in particular, deserves all the credit in the world for being able to view the game in a specific way where he can break down exactly kind of what is going wrong on a micro, or on a macro, I should say, and how he needs to fix it with his team. Hot and Cold has been playing this game since year one. He failed to make SI 3 years in a row before finally qualifying with Dark Zero in 2020. Since then, he has cemented himself as one of the best players and one of the best IGLs in all of North America. This is kind of his time to shine, Parker, where he needs to step up and start to deliver solutions for M80, because it's not going to come easy when NIP are playing this well.
No, this is a team that is firing on all cylinders. You know, when you see a team do really, really well on their opponent's map pick, there's usually a couple things that go through your head, right? Number one is there an imbalance between these teams in terms of genuine skill? I would say not as much as you'd think. Yes, M80 on paper should be the superior team just based on what they've won over the last year and a half.
For sure.
But NIP, again, has been one of the top teams in what might be the most competitive region in Siege in Brazil.
Yeah.
And at their best, they're regional counterparts, teams like FaZe and Furia, who know a thing or two about winning and success, will then turn around and say, oh, NIP could be one of the best teams. But you do have to wonder what is going on with this M80 squad. M80 are on a 3-game win streak on this map, so they know Bank decently well too. They just haven't been able to show it through these first 3 rounds. Gavin starts things off well, taking down Hates, who was on the roam, as his first floor push is coming in the bomb site, all the way in the basement. So M80 has to go for a full clear before they can translate that to the actual site.
And again, this is the early round that I've been talking about, where it needs to be better for M80. So far it is. There are still defenders inside a cafeteria. Don't be confused. Bomb site's going to be down below, but they've got a lot to still clear for on the side of M80. They're looking for these attackers. Fantasy in a very difficult position. He is known, but that doesn't mean he's easy to clear.
And down goes Houghton at the hands of Wizard, who now has the shield turned yet again so many times. M80 confused by where NIP will strike from. Goes back to what Fabian said, Jesse. They're able to make rotates and catch us off guard. M80 will have to workshop this problem. They will have to do it live. They succeeded a little bit more here in round number 4, but ultimately success is something that will take a little bit longer to materialize. Wizard now on the run, taking down Gavin, a beautiful shot. And he's got Gunner in his sights, pulling out the Deagle to get the job done. The timeout does not pay off. A competitive map 1 and a blowout so far here on map 2. NIP is in full control of their own map choice.
And Parker, I gotta praise the versatility coming out from the youngest player on NIP. Wizard has been so good on that bomb site, but played completely different styles in round 1 versus round 4. First round, he's playing inside the garage, hard anchor position, long angle with a TCSG. He gets 3 kills and wins the round for his team. This time, he's roaming top floor. He's flanking up square. He's playing a lot closer range operator in terms of the Valkyrie. He's staying mobile, and he's still getting a multi-kill to win the round for his team. That shot onto Gavin playing on the Deimos was incredible. This third frag with the Deagle as well, just perfect to lock things down. Wizard has been exceptional on that bottom floor bomb sites, and again, the 21-year-old flex support player for NIP has just been really lighting up the server on Bank.
Wizard and Cons are the 2 top frags on this team. The support players.
Yes.
What did I say at the onset of this match? Sometimes if your supports are the ones getting the kills, good things will happen. Hates has found himself in a very fragile state as he continues to get hunted down, allowing M80 to strike first on 2 separate occasions, one of which was for Hates. The other, admittedly, was on to Wizard.
Yeah.
Both times that M80 has drawn First Blood, well, obviously they have not been able to translate that to a successful round victory. First Bloods were not very important if you go back to Consulate either. So a lot of early action where you might have an isolated pick, but it's not really impacting the overall ebb and flow of a round.
And I think one very clear example of how this is NIP's map pick is how many different strats they brought out, Parker. This is round 5. They've repeated 2 bomb sites, basement and top floor, but this is their 5th different defensive lineup. They've changed things up dramatically. We saw it on round 4 with the cafeteria extension. They did nothing like that in round 1. Now they switch things up a little bit more, notably with the Clash being brought out by a Wizard. We didn't see this through the first 3 rounds, but now he's bringing it out, and this Janitor position with the Clash is such a nightmare to try to clear through. It can give a lot of advantages to the other players on NIP and keep your Janitor player safe.
Well, Diffuser having some competition for the first player on M80 to get a kill as Gunner breaks the ice here in round number 5. All these conversions have fallen short on the side of M80. Can they finally break that streak now as M80 still searches for their very first round victory? What a turnaround from map number 1. M80 was in control through basically the entire map.
Yeah.
They were leading or they were tied. Nip had to wait until round 1 of this map to find their first lead of the series, and man, they've taken that lead and they have absolutely ran with it. A second pick now for M80 is just a little bit over a minute remains here in round number 5, and Cons and Hates have been removed from action, yet Wizard still remains.
This should be the most winnable round so far for M80, but I warn you, we're less than 60 seconds and only one player is actually in the building. This is a big map. It's going to take some time to get to the bomb sites, and if you're just relying on rappelling in through these windows, could be dangerous. That didn't work for them the last time they attacked this site, and Wizards in a great spot to stop them too.
And I mean, they just keep picking apart this defense, though. They're not allowing to rotate. This is a much more static hold from Ninjas in Pajamas. Down goes Kino at the hands of Pino, so finally, with 35 seconds left in this round, Nip will get on the board, blindly firing towards the door. Diffuser collapses. Gunner killing everybody, including Hot and Cold. But blood for the blood god as M80 get on the board. It took about 10 minutes.
Yep.
But better late, almost 15 minutes actually, but better late than never. Still 4-1 the scoreline with one more round to go. Nip will assuredly win the first half. The only question we have to answer for the next 3 minutes is, will it be a 4-2 scoreline or will it be 5-1? 5-1 with Nip starting on potentially the worst side of their own map.
Yeah.
They might just run away with it in the second half.
Yeah, that difference in scoreline could be critical in how the second half does play out. NIP getting picked apart there from M80. They use the long angles that Bank does provide to you. You look at some of the operator bans. They left open the Azami. They left open the castle. These operators were being played and will continue to be played. That should keep the defenders, in theory, safe on the top floor, safe from those long angles, but it just felt like M80 were doing a great job of finding some of those gaps. The drones were really nice to them as well. You see that hard ping onto Cons playing down below. This could have been a kill from Pino. I really think that 2v4 was somewhat winnable for them, especially if Pino can get that shot inside a Janitor, but in the end, the UMP, it gives a little bit, but mostly it takes away, and that time it takes away the life from NIP. So one more opportunity to get a dominating round score. 5-1 will be it, and open area will be the bomb site cafeteria.
Knock, this is...
I feel a bit foolish referencing stats at this point because basically all of them are pro Nip. Oh, this bomb site's only been played one time and it was won by Nip. Well, no doubt. Take a look at the scoreline. But we can pick apart the operator choices. This is the very first Denari that we are going to see on this particular side of the map. Castle's being brought to slow things down. Wamai and Azami will also work to slow things. So if they're a little bit worried about the pacing of M80, you've got some great operators to get your opponent stuck in the mud. Added benefit is that whatever destruction is being brought on the side of M80 will need to now be used sparingly because the goal will be use these defender gadgets to eat that up. Fantasy takes down Hot and Cold. Hot and Cold having a bit of a rough map so far. He has found himself in danger very early on, maybe too often for M80's liking.
Yeah, it feels like the defuse kit is getting dropped early every single round, and it hasn't been every round, but it's been a lot. And something that maybe M80 needs to clean up when they get to the next map, or maybe even overtime, is this is their last attack through the first half. Got the man advantage, taking top floor becomes a lot more awkward. Eventually, NIP will give it up, but you'd like to take it before they choose to do so. The flashes can come in from lobby side, but the aggressive move from Fantasy, he's hungry for blood.
Wizard will pick up one, but Diffuser trades him right back. They've got an idea of Gunner's position down by ATMs. Diffuser is on the ground. Pino losing a bit of HP. There goes Gunner to Fantasy. Gavin is last man standing. Not until he gets Diffuser back up. He was down but not out. So now 2 guns from M80 will turn their sights towards the bomb chassis inside of open area. That big double door patrolled by Pino, long range with the TCSG and ACOG in hand. If Diffuser's the first one through, you basically hit any part of his body and he is as good as dead. Gavin softened up as Pino gives his position away. 3 other players on the side of Nip unaccounted for, and one of those players is Cons, who will strike onto Diffuser. Now it's Gavin still remaining. Instrumental in the previous map, but ineffective here in the very final round of the first half. Pino gets the job done. 5-1 for Ninjas in Pajamas. Jesse, we were a little worried that it would have broken the spirits of Nip with the way that map 1 ended, but it looks to be quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Nip showing up more prepared and more steady for Bank than at any point back in map 1.
Yeah, and for me, Parker, that first half was really a difference in the support players. We saw Wizards single-handedly winning multiple rounds on the bottom floor for NIP. At the same time, Cons, hard support IGL, an immovable object inside the bomb site. That anchor position was something that M80 could not root him out of. At the same time, Hot and Cold falling a lot early with that defuse kit. Kino playing a lot of shields for that first half, doesn't really find a lot of success. Part of the problem with Consulate and playing shields, it's difficult to get into the map, but I feel like that was a struggle here even on Bank for M80. I gotta give credit to NIP strats as well. 6 different rounds, 6 different setups coming through from the 3 different bomb sites they played. They came in with a really strong game plan, and it's just something that M80 were not able to prepare for because we haven't seen so many maps still here in this tournament so early at the 6 Invitational. It's a tall task, winning 5, if not 6 rounds on this defensive side to stay alive and potentially close this one out 2-0, but it's one that M80, I think, are capable of. Keep in mind, 3-game win streak on Bank and a ridiculous 21-4 win rate or record since September on match series overall. So you really expect them to be able to bounce back, but how does that look? What is that going to require? Only they can tell us.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at the history of these teams, right? You've got M80, a team that has a great track record on Bank, especially recently. You've got NIP, a team that very recently wins this map, but usually has to go to OT to do it. So you just look at those 2 things and you think, okay, well, M80 should have, pretty good odds. And yet it's been NIP dominating them all over this map so far. I feel a bit vindicated, though, now as we turn our sights towards round number 7, as Gunner is playing the Thorn yet again. And on this bomb site, our good friend Mint talked about this operator on this site, and we will get to see it in action. Maybe not in the way that we had hoped. Maybe this will be an extended roam upstairs.
Yeah.
But those Razor Blooms will function in a couple ways. Yes, they might do some damage, but they will certainly act as intel devices. So if you don't have any cams and you don't know where exactly the assault from NIP is going to emerge, those Razor Blooms will be mighty handy. And Gunner will keep one in back pocket for added measure.
Really interesting hold from M80. This is one that would be nice to break down from a top-down POV if we get some YouTubers or analysts in after the game, because they've got a really big extension top floor. They had players all over kind of tellers and even lobby side to start things off. They've reined things back in to just open area where they'll have that hatch that they can use to drop down. I think providing a lot of early pressure, showing a lot of map control to NIP, but not committing to a lot of it. This might force NIP to take things slowly. It might give them a bit of pause on their clear without actually risking as much as they maybe would if they had actually played players up on the top floor or committed to guys sticking around inside of archives.
I think you just saw a read there from NIP as well. They might be able to capitalize on one of these M80 players that isn't staring in that right direction. Yep, there we go. And the Fenrir Hot and Cold is picked off yet again. It's the team captain dying early now. You were hoping that with the side swap, he would maybe stay alive a little bit longer. Not going to happen in the very first round of the second half.
Not to be, unfortunately. And these roamers, they're not really giving up their positions, Parker. Now we'll start to see some players run down staircases. You've still got a couple guys up here on the mid floor, but with that, everybody will drop. So 75 seconds on the clock. NIP have a man advantage, and they've got full top floor control. This is about as good as it gets for an attacking team on this site. There's a lot of plant-focused util, right? You've talked about those Thorns, even though they were used top floor, that there's going to be Goyos, Toxic Babes, even the the Zoto canisters, right, from Diffuser. There's a lot to go through if you're NIP, so working through this utility is going to be the name of the game and getting a plant down as quickly as possible.
And this is pretty good timing, right? Like, there's this juggle, there's this rhythm to the bottom floor bomb site. You got 20 seconds on the Goyo canisters. You've got to bait out the 3 remaining smokes. There's nitro cells on the board. So the good timing from Nip is going to end up with about 1,000 things thrown at you. Gunnar will take matters into his own hands, but he'll do so with a gun. No utility being used here. Khan's surveying the wreckage of this bomb site, looking for a golden opportunity to get the diffuser on the ground. But he's just biding his time as Wizard takes down Gunnar. There goes Diffuser as well. Nip has full control of this site. Out go the gas canisters. Khan surviving. Kino fed at the hands of Fantasy. Gavin now swinging his way in. Down goes the Monty. Kino taking him out from the grave. Gavin will ascend upstairs with the sidearm in hand. He had one of the best shots we've ever seen in pro play in the previous map. What can he pull off now? Dancing around the fire, Gavin. Beheading Wizard in a 1v1 against Pino, doing some serious damage. Can Gavin do it again? Dancing around the bomb chassis. Pino biding time. Gavin running against the clock. Turning his tail, and Pino gets him. Map point for Nip.
The 25-year-old veteran wins it in the 1v1. So smart inside a server, Parker. All the opportunity for Gavin to make that clutch happen, to break the hearts of NIP one more time, but it's not to be. A really good push coming through, and I think you got to give a lot of credit to the captain. Cons on that Monty. A lot of captains, a lot of shield players in that position would have gotten in, immediately hold F. Do your best to get the kick down as fast as possible, because there's a lot of anti-plant util. You're scared of that, but that's not the approach that Cons takes. He goes deep, and he spends a lot of time just gathering info for his teams. He tells them where those defenders are. He allows his teammates to work those picks, and only once he feels confident in the space that his team has taken does he start to put that defuse kit on the ground. I think Cons has really played this map fantastic, despite maybe some struggles in map 1 on the shields. He's really been reading the game correctly, I think, through this second map, and M80 don't seem to have any answers at the moment.
At this point in time, I think what's most likely is we just move on to Chalet. Obviously, crazier things have happened. Comebacks have been mounted from this exact same scoreline, sometimes even worse. We've seen teams claw back from a 6-0. But there's usually some kind of underlying issue that gets addressed.
Yeah.
I just don't really see that here on M80. They've come close in a couple of these rounds. Round 1, decently close. Round 2, decently close. Now what we just saw, decently close. But decently close is not a victory.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how many times
Oi,
you
map
lose a
game bang
1v1.
kena ni.
Yeah, you
Popular
can
gang.
huff some copium.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some fans of M80 are doing that right now. But Nip has been in full control of this map. Let's not kid ourselves. This has been a very dominant performance. This is showing us exactly why Nip chose to go here.
Yeah.
And now you've just kind of got to recenter yourself and think, what do we do in this round and how do we prep for Chalet?
Yeah, as well as they played on map 1, M80 are not a team to win 2-0. They played 5 series in the Munich Major Playoffs, and they didn't get a single 2-0 win despite winning that entire event. So we maybe should have known that a third map was coming if M80 were going to walk away with the victory at least. But still in this game, and we saw a rat spot being played by Gunnar that I believe has not been cleared out. He's inside of lobby in the far northwest corner, hiding behind this little tipped over chair so that he can avoid the drones, do his best to stay silent, and maybe go for a play later on in this round. He's in a great spot to clear off the window players, of which Wizard is one of them.
Gunnar stayed hidden down here, and it will pay off. Almost getting a second now as Fantasy gets cut down from his rappel. 3 separate players remain on rappel for Nip, so a dangerous position for them to be in. And one of them will almost certainly need to keep a set of eyes on that main lobby, either through an operator or through a drone. With Fantasy dead, throw a drone down there. You've got the great guy to sit on it, and he'll just be able to watch. But either way, you need to be a little concerned. And Pino might actually get caught off guard by Gunnar here.
No, they're hunting Gunnar. They know where he's at. No, they don't.
Do you want to retract? Do you want to retract your?
They
statement
knew.
there,
They know
or?
he's here.
They knew he's here as he almost kills Pino, but actually does an absurdly low amount of damage with that P90. And guess what Gunnar's going to try to do again?
No way.
Are they still out there? Survey says
Wizard is.
Yes, but he's got an idea. Again, maybe there's
Yeah.
a drone waiting for him. How many times are we going to see clips of Gunnar just running away?
surely this is the last one. They've committed all their resources just to killing Gunner. It's basically the entire round at this point.
There are still 4 more players on M80 that we have not even said the names of in this round. And there is under 30 seconds to go. 9 players alive in the server, 20 seconds to go. Cons holds Diffuse Kit, and the entire focus is on the soulless of Gunner, who has frozen and immobilized this NIP team. You have to get going if you're the Brazilians, and you will do just that. Running into the bomb site and picked off one by one. An excellent round from Gunner. The rest of the team on M80 does their job. Maybe a comeback might be brewing here.
Gunner, just the perfect roam. You dream of roams like that. Dodges the drones, was able to play for that opening pick inside of ATMs, and then the entire round, I mean, we said it, they're chasing him down. They did know he was down there. They knew approximately where he was, maybe not the exact angle. The drone's a little bit slow when he's playing in that small office down on that main floor, so they miss a few opportunities, and maybe more than a few opportunities, to kill Gunner over the course of that one. But in the end, that site execute just has no time to come through. Gunner really does win it for his squad. He had his tongue scraper stolen from his hotel room, or lost, thrown out from his hotel room earlier in this event. So I'm not sure if that is fueling his play in their opening game, but he's been fantastic the first 2 maps.
I am not as terminally online as I used to be. Tell me he tweeted about that or something, and that's how you saw that?
Maybe. Maybe I know about the going-ons of the hotel.
Did you steal his tongue scraper?
I plead the 5th.
That usually means you're guilty, but don't want to incriminate yourself. Also, we are Canadians in Paris. The 5th Amendment does not apply to us in any universe. I don't think you're allowed to do that.
We're casting an American team.
I didn't even realize people brought tongue scrapers. I just figured like most toothbrushes have the tongue scraper in the back of it.
Well, Gunner is big on oral hygiene, which I can appreciate. It's important to his game.
This is why people love hearing you talk.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that, Parker.
Not really much more to say there.
Well, we've got a bottom floor bomb site to come through from M80. Obviously, they didn't win this last time, but it is the strongest site on Bank, so they have to commit to winning it again before we hit the final 3 rounds, just so that you get another chance to play it in round 12. You have to believe that we'll get to round 12 if you're M80. There's no other way to play this game. Not really a roam setup, a very passive style of play from M80. They've ditched the Thorn, they've ditched this 4-man roam up towards Archives and open area. We're going all in on Plant Denial now. Smoke, Tachanka, Goyo, Tubarao, everything that can stop a plant is being brought in this game. Monty will start to push out Gavin, who's just playing in this elevator. Quick to drop, he doesn't want to risk his life, and it's pretty much how every player would play that position.
Yeah, I mean, you killed a bunch of time there, and you don't want to have to gamble, especially if there's follow-up, right?
Yeah.
The one thing NIP has been doing on both of these maps is they have largely been working in a group. So if you see a Monty, safe bet, he's probably not alone.
Yeah. While full top floor control is easily gained by NIP, I think they've done a good job reading what this defense wants to do. It's not exactly a secret. Clearing out through server is often a bit of an issue, but I don't see anybody down there. I like this Goyo setup as well on the main hatch. It's going to be a little bit awkward, should deal some damage to Hates, but bringing the Maverick should be able to open this without wasting too much time. And there we go. Tiny bit of damage, but he really doesn't struggle with it the same way that maybe an Ace or a Thermite might.
Again, what's at stake here is points in Group A. NIP looking for their very first point. They have not won a map just yet. They were bounced by Weibo Gaming 2-0 yesterday and are now down 1-0, but sitting on the precipice of winning their own pick here of Bank. This is a relatively tough group. Weibo have looked mighty good. Team Heretics are a bit of a wild card. NIP should be a team that skates their way through. I mean, for a lot of these teams, they're looking at the 2 matches that FearX have played and hoping that that continues so they could skate their way to the next phase of this event. Gavin taking down 1 Gunner will also get on the board. M80 suddenly firing up the war machine. Hates with the only kill up to this point for NIP. He's inside a vault. He's got 4 more checks to cash. Make that 3.
Whoa!
Make that 2. I think the greater issue here, Jesse, is time. Hates can do as he likes. But M80 will give him nothing in those final few seconds. They sit back, they allow the timer to run out. When you are defending, it's usually a 6v5 because the clock is almost always on your side. 3 rounds now for M80. The gap between these two teams shrinking minute by minute. When I was just about to ask, when do you potentially start to worry if you're Nip? And immediately we hear in our ears, timeout Nip after operator bans. So I guess now is when you start to worry.
Yeah, and I think this is the right time to call it. We'll see what the bans come through. You could go for some of those plant denial operators. We've seen a lot of good smoke play, Tachanka play. It'll be Goyo instead, so that is kind of the line of thinking for NIP. Give yourself a bit more of an opportunity to play that objective, and it really does feel like in that previous round, Parker, they had all the steps there, but ended up losing a couple of crucial gunfights. Had a lot of players gold side, actually. I believe it was 2 pushing down the hatches and 1 on main stairs. It left really Cons very alone with Pino on that server side of the map, and as soon as Pino went down, it was a great push by Kino, don't get him mixed up, to walk up and take down the Monty in the midst of that plant. They can play a little bit more together. If they can kind of be all in on one strategy rather than bouncing around the map, they might have a little bit more success. This M80 team are a very good defensive squad. They can be really tricky to pin down, just as NIP were on their own defensive side. It's going to be on the coach of Dan to find some way around this because M80 have been looking red hot on defense.
A very defender-sided map. After you spent multiple times tripping over yourself to talk about how defender-sided console it was, and now Bank is saying, hold my beer. The defenders are just having a terrific show of it. I mean, Bank is a big map. It can be friendly territory for either. There's lots of opportunity for successful attacks, especially if defenders are not well coordinated. And yet there have only been 2 successful attacks through the 9 rounds played. That is quite dominant for the defenders. M80 won round number 5, attacking the top floor. Nip won round 7, attacking the basement. And would you believe it? The first open area to be defended by M80. Now, because of the way the bomb site rotation works, M80 won upstairs, they won downstairs. Now you have to go to one of these middle floor bomb sites. Keller's Archives is the redheaded stepchild of this map. It sees some play. It is generally poorly regarded by most teams on defense. So you're going to go to Staff and Open Area, which was won back in round number 3 by Nip defending, and then won a second time by Nip in round 6, also defending. So defenders, 2-0 on this site. If you're a fan of M80, you're hoping they go 3-0.
Really interesting to see Diffuser on the Scopos. Historically, it would be Gunner running Scopos and Diffuser on the Valkyrie. It seems like they've made a bit of a role swap between the Major and the 6 Invitational. So we see Diffuser on the Robotic Operator already taking a bit of early damage playing on that top floor, but of course, the main ability of this op to teleport back to the main floor to the second shell where it's likely sitted inside the site should be a big opportunity for Diffuser to escape with his life. NIP know the game plan. They know how important clearing top is going to be. They've got a lot of drones up there at the moment. There's not a lot of util that they need to clear out. Maybe looking for an Electroclaw right now on the main Kanto wall, if they can find one there. I'm not sure if it even is electrified. I don't believe it is. So ultimately, these drones are just for information. They've got plenty of that, but that doesn't mean M80 are leaving. No, they actually have left. They're all gone. You know what? They did leave. Okay.
Down goes Wizard to a Nitro Cell by Gunner, so he doesn't find himself in any real danger here. Cons surveying the wreckage as he sees that explosion below him. Down goes one of the off-site Scopos, the only off-site Scopos, so Diffuser is just a single robot at this point in time. On the run will be Gunner as he works his way through the bomb site. No surprise that the Valkyrie is in the site. Not a lot of information gained there from Nip, but they know where Hates is, which is quite beneficial on the side of M80.
Diffuser may be the main problem inside of the basement. He's going to be able to play those server stairs. If they go for an open area take, he'll be the guy hitting that flank, and it's going to be something that NIP will have to watch out for. Could be really awkward with that Scopos down there, so they need to be ready. At the moment, this push does look like it's coming more through Archives, though. If they can just focus on open area, ignore Cafeteria, then that could open things up for them. 45 seconds, they find the claw, and the open wall will start to breach, so plenty of options for the attackers.
He means open area wall, for those that were wondering when he says open. I know it can be a little confusing.
Open wall is open.
I was giving you some credit.
Thank you.
I don't do that all that often. Down goes Gunner at the hands of Khan. So Nip looking to keep this one close. There goes Gavin. Hold on. Nip finally firing it up themselves. Hot and Cold and Diffuser will need to save the day. You talked about Diffuser aplenty. He gets spotted, and Hot and Cold manages to survive to the very bitter moments. Fantasy does not have the wherewithal to get the Diffuser down. He'll attempt now with a few seconds left. Hot and over by Printer. Spotted and swatted. Nip allowed M80 to get their hopes up only before dashing them. Both teams winning their maps. It took M80 a little bit longer to put Consulate in the win column. Nip, a brisker affair. We've got Chalet as our third map, but that's a bit of a statement from Ninjas in Pajamas, isn't it?
Yeah.
To walk into a map after losing to Gavin the way that they did and say, you know what? We're going to take the first 4 rounds. Our mental is fine.
Yeah, it really does not get easy for the North Americans. Never is it so simple. And I think a lot of credit got to go to Dan. Really good strats coming out on the defensive side. Gets them that 5-1 half. So much variety on how they were playing. And then when things fall apart on the attack, it's his tactical timeout, which gets the team back in the game, gets their head on straight, and wins them their immediate first round after.
Yeah, I mean, when you have one of the greatest coaches in the game and one of the most successful players and one of the brightest minds that's ever played the game in Fabian, saying during the timeout, I have no idea how to fix this. What do we do?
Yeah.
You guys have to sort it out. That usually means that there's some trouble in the water. Just a little bit of trouble in the water. And it took some time for M80's fraggers to start fragging and start working together. And they definitely looked like a better team towards the end of this map.
Sure.
But when you go to your opponent's map, you get to choose the side you think, A, you'll do best on, and B, your opponents will do worse on. M80 did not get that memo. They didn't really look that much better on either side, though the numbers show they did better on attack.
Yeah, and I think this is a really interesting stat line from NIP because despite being the bottom of the EPS leaderboard, I think Wizard was probably the single best player on this
I
team.
agree.
He had the most impact individually in a few specific rounds, single-handedly winning a certain bomb site for this team over and over again. So you got to give credit to all 5 members on NIP. It's very clear that they're playing as a unit. They're not relying on just one guy to step up and make big plays. All 5 of them are able to have their moments, and I think it's really impressive to see that stat line.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 guys that you want to top frag, Hates and Fantasy, did just that. But Wizard had so many high-value, high-impact kills while also leading the team that he's got to be, in my heart, the MVP, even if the numbers don't back it up. One more map awaits us. Chalet, a clean best-of-1. Do the defending major champions win their first match here at SI? Or does Nip bounce back after a rough first day? We'll find out in a couple minutes.
Oh, World Cup menang lah. World Cup menang lagi. Tengok World Cup ni grup. Oh, World Cup menang, Falcon menang. Ayo wait. Yang satu. InsyaAllah. tu aku punya prediction. Betul tu. Market yang free lah. Let's go. Duduk biar aku cantik. Ini tak kurang. Sini lah. Dia tu kalau dia secret. Oh, secret menang ke? Aku punya position Paco secret. Paco tak lawan lagi. Paco tak lawan lagi. Team secret baru lawan dengan ni oksigen. Tak tahu oksigen. Best. Paco satu gang. Mostly sudah tu. Oh, buruk sih kita tak jahit sampai kita orang cantik sangat. Rugby kita buat masa cantik. Kita punya World Cup Mari. Tak boleh, tak mau. Aku ada kontrak dengan Ubisoft. Aku kena... Aku tak boleh stream bila ada... Apa ni? Ada SI punya match. Aku tengah co-stream dengan Ubisoft. Syarat dia aku tak boleh main bila ada live. Bila live tengah berlangsung aku tak boleh main gameplay. Oh.
Well, it was a tough map 1, but map 2 was a little bit easier for the Ninjas and, most importantly, their pajamas. Both teams you expect to win their maps, and they have done that. So now we go to Chalet as the ultimate tiebreaker. And this is a bit of an odd map for both of these teams.
Yeah, that's right, Parker. Chalet has not been one that either team have been incredibly comfortable on in recent moments. M80 going 0-2 on Chalet through the North American Regional Finals. That was obviously not a hugely important event for them, and it's not one where they finished very highly, but still, Chalet was a map they struggled on regionally at the end of 2025. NIP, however, have not really played this map at the end of 2025. Ignoring Copa Sudamericana, where they played some Tier 2 teams and some less than important games, they've only played Chalet a single time since the season began in March of 2025. They really don't like to play this map. That was back in Stage 1 as well. So a lot of mysteries for NIP in this one, and that almost makes me a little bit more concerned for M80, because M80 didn't have a lot of footage on what NIP were going to do on Bank. They brought out a lot of new strats. Felt like NIP were very prepared for that map, and M80 couldn't adapt well. If that is also the case on Chalet, if NIP also have some strategies that M80 are not prepared for, which I think is guaranteed, we could see similar problems for M80 than what we saw on Bank.
We've had a bit of an odd day across both channels. We obviously here are on the B stream. Up next, we've got, is it D+ Shopify Rebellion, I believe, is the very next game. That'll be an interesting one. D+ obviously competing out of APAC, but with a team that is not originally from APAC. Over on the other stream, we had a bona fide APAC team play. Southeast Asian representative of Daystar played up against the North American team of Wildcard. And, well, it's not exactly a good day for the APAC teams, Jesse. Daystar getting demolished by Wildcard. We were well ahead of schedule here, and they are now finished their second matchup and are waiting for their third to begin. So, an interesting set of games so far. Don't always love to see blowouts, especially at the most competitive event of the year, but they are bound to happen at some point.
It's always going to happen when you get regions clashing that maybe don't always match up, but hey, that's the beauty of the 6 Invitational. Chalet is a map where I say you have to ban the Asami if you're an attacking team. They do so. We sometimes see a clash. I've seen Solus get a lot of bans actually on Chalet so far through this event. It's going to be the Mira, a bit more of a traditional ban choice from NIP coming through for their first decision, and then M80 banning out that Monty and that Ying. We know how good Cons is on that Monty. It was huge for him to be able to win some of those rounds on Bank, and even I think on Consulate he had some great plays despite early struggles. His overtime shield plays were excellent. So interesting ops to come through from both teams, and top floor is going to be our first bomb site from M80.
Yeah, I mean, Cons obviously doesn't have very good underlying numbers at the moment, but he probably shouldn't on his role. Like,
of course.
if Cons and Wizard aren't the 2 lowest performing players on NIP, something is usually quite wrong. We also said this about Shopify Rebellion, the team that we referenced who will be up in action after Chalet is done, playing up against D+ Kia. Yesterday, Canadian had a terrific day on Shopify Rebellion, was one of the highest rated players on his team and was instrumental in pushing SR forward in their victory against G2, but he's also not the type of person you want to see doing the best. Hot and cold on M80, similarly, usually a player that can compete against the best of the best, but you want guys like Gavin, Diffuser, Gunner to be at the very top. And those happen to be the 3 players that are.
And we expected a crazy first round from NIP, some unexpected strats. Well, I'm looking at a Finka, I'm looking at a Mara, I'm looking at a Glass Parker. This is going to be a crazy start to the game. How prepped are M80 going to be for it? They have most of their players here on the top floor. It's not been an instant 30-second rush, but with the tools that are being held by NIP, there's no doubt that they're going to go for an explosive execute at some point in this round. Most of their players still over towards Solar side, still outside the building. Bathroom window could be a big focus for them as well. They take a moment. It's not necessarily a rush, but a delayed rush that can do a really large amount of damage if M80 aren't ready for it.
I am loving the amount of Denari that we are playing as well in this level of gameplay. Having a Denari show up frequently is also great for the casual side of the community. A lot of people who play this game at a Tier 2, Tier 3, T4, T500 level, which is about where I play it, can take notes from these pros. Denari's a great operator to slow you down. His traps are quite effective, gain intel. There's a lot that Denari brings. The only real knock against Denari is usually the loadout, but the teams here at SI have been really liking the Scorpion. A lot of Ella and a lot of Denari running that gun.
Comes the push from Fantasy. Smoke comes through, knows one's close on the wall, and he does find the angle. A sliver of Diffuser's head peeks out, and he will get the opening pick on map 3. This opens the door now for NIP, but they got to be careful of who might be lurking below.
And they've got control of Chimney. They've got control of this top portion of the map. Wizard is in the basement, which for an Amaru is a very peculiar place to be. He knows one's tucked into the corner, and with the shotgun out, will very easily collapse on Gavin. A great start from Nip here, as now they can double up on these library stairs. A very quick run out of the smoke of Kino will give his position away. Maybe the Clash can get particularly aggressive. It's not uncommon to see Clash wander outside as well. And with 45 seconds left, Nip have not had a single point of damage done to them, though the Adrenal Surge used by Pino might have covered it up.
Yeah, and this is really looking like an awkward push still. They've not got exactly the positions that they want to. The Amaru can't do the jump in with the rappel being played, but here comes the push.
Oh, and Gunner finds 2 with the Scorpion. Fantasy on the board. Right now, in terms of numbers, Nip still leading at this point in time. Fantasy gun down. How do you lose that engagement? Gunner feasting on them. There's already been 1 ace in this series. How about another?
That's my first ace in 3 years.
Oh!
3 years. Hates with 1 ace, Gunner with the other. And M80 looked like they were on their back heels in that first round, but they were able to put their foot down and find themselves with a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, you talk about the Denari play, and Gunner shows exactly why he can be such a strong operator, not only with the Scorpion singing from that top floor position, but also just making it awkward to get in through those windows. The Blackbeard bathroom window, probably the most obvious example, where you just don't have a great way in without taking some damage. Gunner's able to find an angle onto him. Looks a little bit awkward on the man count, but I always loved M80's positioning in that NIP did not have a great way to get in and get a plant down. They had to flood. They had to go for kills. I loved this play from Wizard down to the basement. He plays it perfectly, but in the end, Gunner is even more perfect than his teammates. Good coordination coming through from Hot and Cold on the Clash. Not sure if he could have done it without his captain, but in the end, this moment is all Gunner's.
Well, just see, it's an interesting thing. Nick has the very first ace of SI, and then how about the second ace of SI? Unless an ace occurred in the wildcard Daystar game or at the very conclusion of that Falcons matchup earlier up against Elevate, it's possible, but
It happens.
it tried.
Yeah.
It tried.
Way she goes.
You can't win them all. That is just that, like, you know that's coming. Somebody will try to spawn peek big window at some point. It's bound to happen.
Yeah, Chalet, probably the most prone to spawn peeks of any of the maps that we have here in the competitive pool. Action not stopping yet. Gunner is hungry for more, but he does get stopped at 5 as Pino inside of Mudroom does get that frag. Another shield pick from Cons, too. They are flooding through this map and have very quickly brought this down to a 2v5.
It was a 3v2 for Nip just a couple seconds before this round began. It was obviously torn apart by Gunner's great play, though he did get a sizable leg up from Hot and Cold playing on that Clash.
Yep.
The Clash not wanting to be a part of the active engagements, just instead staying a little farther back and using the shield and information to his disposal. He's the IGL on the team. If there's anybody on the side of M80 you want giving you calls and info, it's going to be Hot, and Gunner capitalized off of said calls. Now it's Hot and Kino to take matters into their own hands. They will need to be more than just pylons, as Nip have all 5 players still upright and over half of the round to play with. A bit of sloppiness by Kino. He couldn't hit water if he falls out of a boat. An ace by Gunner to start round number 1, and a flawless round by Nip to cap off round number 2. Both of these teams showing that they can play ball.
Not Kino's day today, Parker. Hasn't had a huge impact in any of our 3 maps just yet. Not able to work with Hot and Cold to clutch up that 2vx in the late round either, but it really comes down to the early aggression. NIP, they don't let how round 1 ended affect them. Just like how they didn't let map 1 ending affect map 2. They were really right back into things. One thing that we maybe didn't get to see was the Deimos tracking coming through from Fantasy. Had a really good ping onto Gavin, which fed some information over to Cons for that 3rd pick, giving them that 3-man advantage. So a lot of this really fast intel that's being gathered by NIP and relayed very quickly, which can make the difference. Great shot by Pino in the midst of that as well, and through the spawn peak. It's interesting, we did actually have a ping onto the player that killed Diffuser on the window, but in the end, that player was ready.
Are we gonna see the same thing we saw all the way back in map number 1? Where we go into the grittiness of overtime, just round after round after round, trading back and forth and back and forth and back and forth?
I kind of hope so. I mean, that was one of the best maps of Siege that we've cast in a long time, Parker, so I wouldn't be mad at that.
It's been a couple months since you and I were able to cast in person together, and we honestly don't have a lot of game day reps if you think about it.
That's true.
We had, what was the Montreal Major was our first live cast together with an audience. Technically, we got a couple games in at DreamHack years and years and years ago.
2019?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Good old Corn Pop 16 in Intero Bang. I was using Intero at the time, but I just wanted to bring myself down to that level. So
Thanks. Appreciate
But
it.
yeah, it's a heck of a matchup for you and I to make our debut, and this is a heck of a match for M80 to make their debut as well. The North American team had their day off yesterday. We also had the day off, so we spent most of it sitting with the rest of the broadcasters, watching the match on the screens, talking shop. M80 do not disappoint. Win or lose, this has been an entertaining bout. How are two players struggling here? What was going on? Cons unsuccessful on attack on the Blackbeard through much of map number 1, and he's already doing significantly better here on Chalet. 3v2 for M80 with a round and a minute and a half to go. This is exactly the opposite scoreline, or we saw of M80 and Nip back in round number 1. Now it was Nip who had the numbers advantage, and they fell short.
Yeah, M80, they run the same bomb site back park. We're back to kitchen, but this time a couple different operators have been changed. Most notably, the Clash was not being brought, and so it allowed them to get a little bit more aggressive. We still see Diffuser taking the brunt of the focus, and while he's not having a good time, opens the door for his teammates to get a couple of kills. Nice play from Kino to get out of that solar position after getting a frag. In the basement at the moment, can play those west main stairs when he needs to, and it's really up to Pino and Cons to find a solution. Could mean clearing out Kino from the basement, but I think they're just going to go trophy window side. With these Sens walls, they could have an opportunity to do something sneaky with that. Not sure where they've been thrown out. He can still activate them, assuming the time hasn't run out at this point.
Cons is now able to conceal himself as he vaults into trophy. And Pino is there to get their attention. Cons face checking just about every other angle and has actually found some safety. The only question is there somebody above? We know there is, but that question is about to be answered by Nip. Hot and Cold still playing that position. Gunner is not too far off. Just like map number 1, back and forth they go. M80 taking the odd numbers. That leaves Nip for the even numbers. That's not good if you're Nip.
Nope.
You don't want to be tied or trailing like you were on map number 1. You want to be more competitive and fighting for that lead. Nip still have plenty of time to pull that off.
Yeah, I really like that round from Hot and Cold. Obviously, he got the main kill onto the Fuser planter just at the end of that, but he actually started the round in an anchor position. He started inside the site and was likely feeding information on drones and player positions to his roamers up above him. Then once those roamers evacuated the top floor, once they go back towards the bomb site, Hot and Cold moves over towards games. He goes up the library stairs, and only once NIP concede the top floor, they go for that execute. That's when Hot and Cold retakes the space, always avoiding the positions being held by NIP. So I really like that movement from Matt. Gonna play that Solus one more time, so can do similar things where he tries to avoid the enemy team, but this time they go right back up to the top floor to try to play that bomb site.
Solid plays and coordination from M80 that were absent on Bank, right, Jesse? That was not the same team that we saw back on Consulate. Bank was groups of individuals, and they are much better practiced. I did get a second or two to listen in to M80's conversation after that second map concluded, and boy, oh boy, it was not exactly a friendly affair.
Sure.
But they did seem to identify some issues, just some coordination that plagued them, and they weren't able to fix it in the midst of the match.
Yeah.
Plenty of teams have found themselves in that exact same circumstance. So M80 would be in good company. Not exactly the company you want to be if you want to win the Hammer. Well, I think irrespective of what happens here, most people had these two teams at the top of this group.
Yeah.
So if anybody is going to give M80 a run for their money, it'd be Nip. You even said that. If there is a loss for M80 here to be had, it will likely be at the hands of the Ninjas.
Yeah, I called this the most losable game in group stage for M80, and I think we are seeing exactly what that looks like. One round goes differently back on map 1, and this would have been a 2-0 for the Ninjas. So still plenty to play for M80. I do like their position, but they can't rest on their laurels. Blitz got banned out, so Cons is forced back over to the Blackbeard. A couple of roamers down here inside of games that have just been droned out by Wizard. It's going to be a full assault on these roamers to try to root them out and get a man advantage before they look to sight.
Grenades go out. They've got a good read on the Ella of Gavin sitting inside a bar. Now it's Gunner's turn to be determined or found as they determine he's the one that the death mark will go for. Cons is in a dangerous spot. They're trying to bait Gavin into a more favorable engagement. He's not taking the bait yet. Kino dies at the hands of Pino. Nip has been very good at drawing first blood on this map. That's something we haven't been able to say through the previous two. An advantage now for Nip. This Fantasy sidearm shreds through one. Venrear of Gunner. Countered yet again by this death mark. And they will hunt him down. He'll hit the deck. My, this is a tricky spot to be in. They've got some coverage. This bomb site is above. What a good shot from Gunner as he manages to outduel Fantasy, but Hates is there for the assist. Nip now doubling up on numbers and have a minute left to find the two remaining players. Hot and cold through that wall. Takes down Hates. Fantasy will trade him right out. And Diffuser, who uncharacteristically is without a kill, will find one, but that's all she wrote. Fantasy tying things up at the tail end of the fourth round.
Nice little push coming through. Every time we saw NIP get into a gunfight, they always had the numbers advantage, whether that was fighting the roamers over towards game, working their way over towards kitchen. It's always like a 2v1, a 3v2. The numbers were always favoring NIP. They're able to get that because they're setting themselves up really nicely with strong drones to give information and the Deimos tracker from Fantasy as well. Really nice information coming the way of the Ninjas, gets them that advantage early, allows them to isolate those solo players. And they do tie us up at 2.
What the hell's going on over there?
Was that SSG I just saw in the booth? It was quick. I could be wrong.
I mean, maybe.
It sounded Portuguese, though.
Yeah, it was. It's Fluxo and Enterprise on the A stream. Enterprise, our Australian friends, will be doing battle against Fluxo 7M, Flux W7M. Not really sure because they use different tags.
Yeah.
I've seen FX7M used before. They use FX in their names. They go by Fluxo W7M, I believe, on the jersey.
Yeah.
You love Fluxo.
I'm a big Fluxer.
You're
personally.
a Fluxer.
I'm a big Fluxer, and I'm a big fan of the players that are on that team. Formerly the players of W7M, who won the Montreal Major last year in a big upset win over BDS, now known as Falcons. Didn't really have the Munich Major that they wanted, so hoping for a better SI at this tournament. Also making their debut today, along with M80, Wildcard, and FaZe Clan.
This defensive lineup, by the way, for M80 has remained so static. They ran the exact same set of operators in rounds 1 and 2 and have now done almost the same through the last 3 rounds. 3 rounds in a row for Gunner, Gavin, Houghton, and Kino on their respective operators. Diffuser ran a Malusi back in round number 3 and have now swapped on over to the Warden.
It's just the bomb sites, Parker. They're playing Kitchen and Master over and over and over, which is kind of the same site when you think about it. They play very similar, so they can maintain the same operators. A big vault. Not sure what the game plan was from Gunner there, but he gets hard punished by Wizard as he jumps to his death.
Nip are looking to gain the upper hand in these seesaw matches. In map number 1, Nip never had the lead. They had the lead for all of map number 2. They are hopeful that map number 3 looks a little bit more like Bank than it does Consulate. The lead, though, that was grabbed by Nip has evaporated at this point as we see a 3v3 now unfold with not as much time as you'd think, just a little bit over a minute left.
Yep.
Nip need to get their way into the bomb site. Many of them on rappel now. Hates heading to the roof. So Nip will very likely swap things up. There's no way. How have they not seen that drone?
Oh man, that's brutal. It's just sitting on the desk, but sometimes it's not what you're focused on, Parker, and that can be a big mistake that could lead to the doom of M80. It was Diffuser who just walked right past it. Ace wall being opened up, nothing you can do about this now. The repel in comes through. The Toxic Babe hurts him, but he does get deep.
Managed to eat a bunch of damage from that Toxic Babe. One remains in pocket for Kino. Down goes Wizard. The advance from Nip now seems to be stuck outside of the building, but on those windows, you can still see your opponents. Hates teaching Kino about different angles. Hates is across as well, as now Cons will join him. Spread out far enough. Cons moving from Solarium. Hates on big window. Diffuse kit in the hands of the Capitao of Cons. They need to flush out these last two players from M80 with 10 seconds left. I don't know how confident I would be having to deal with this. Ella! Crossfire established. Gavin and Hates in a 1v1 now as Diffuser is on the ground. Hates rushing up and he gets it done with the side shotgun. Oh my goodness, back-to-back rounds for Nip, and they gain the lead for the first time on Chalet.
Unbelievable that Hates clutches that one up. You know, that was a really tough read from NIP. A lot of worse teams would have gone for the plant there, but I think Cons realizes I cannot plant. The cover is not good enough in the 2v2. They could move into bathroom and punish me. So he says, I'm going to go for kills. They manage to down Diffuser, and then Gavin is prone inside a bathroom, Parker. Hates looks the wrong way at first. He looks to the right. He has no idea where Gavin is in the dying seconds of that round, but with the shotgun in hand, it doesn't matter. He's able to flick to it in time, and I gotta say, Parker, there have been more mistakes from M80 in, I think, the first 5 rounds of this game than we saw all through map 1. This has been very, very rocky, I think, from the North American squad. That vault from Gunner, one that I'm going to be going back to question a little bit. It just feels like the window angles on the top floor have been really catching them off guard, and NIP, they look like masters of the late round decision making.
I mean, through all 3 of these maps, there hasn't been anybody on Nip who's noticeably performed poorly. Cons was really the only one that jumps to mind, and that was how he did in the first half of map number 1. Fantasy and Hates maybe took their foot off the gas pedal a little bit in the second half of map 1. But all things considered, the numbers across the board for Nip are pretty good. The only thing that they were behind on before Chalet began was they were consistently running behind on opening picks. But even that has changed now, with 4 of the 5 rounds being an opening pick for Nip. They are looking mighty confident. They are attacking on Chalet. Typically, attackers on Chalet have a better time than most maps. So you're in an advantageous position. I think for Nip at this point, your win con, break M80's back. Get 4 rounds, win 3 in a row, force M80 to do some reflection, maybe tilt them inside the server, and make it harder for them in the second half of this game.
I can tell you as well, Parker, M80 got side choice for this map, so they chose to start on defense, so a 3-3 scoreline would be the bare minimum that they're hoping to escape the first 6 rounds with. They're playing just at the top of these library stairs for the first time. We go to the south side of the map. And despite the good angles being held by NIP, it is Gunner who strikes first, running out of Big Garage to take down Pino, but Fantasy for the trade loses the fight!
Oh, my goodness. He had the shadows helping him. You could see that one of them was approaching, and yet he just could not get the shots that he needed. Devastating. And now Gunner has, I don't want to say he's won this round because it was a 5v3 for Nip in the previous round, and it got close real quick. But I mean, Gunner's broken this round wide open, and Nip are struggling.
I mean, this is possible for NIP. I like M80's position better, but my worry is that NIP in these spots tend to stall out, Parker. I've seen it over and over again in this game and in previous NIP matches. Sometimes they just get a little bit too comfortable with the clock, and it runs short on them. No picks still with just 65 seconds to go. They've got 1 player top floor in Hates. The rest of them are still outside the building looking to find some kind of an impact on the main floor. Gavin's still in the library spot. They don't have the tools to clear him out. I just don't know what the game plan needs to be for the Ninjas.
Cons is in a collision course with these defenders playing over by library. Hates looking for the follow-up as they will double swing Gavin's position. Gavin finds one, Kino finds another, and how about a flawless round for M80? All they need to do is make sure that Wizard disappears. Gavin sustaining some serious damage. That DMR is a mighty thing in the hands of Brava. Follow-up from Hot and Cold, pick your poison. Do you go for the Malusi Banshee that's now opened up, or do you go for the player? Either way, you're giving yourself away. I guess the right call is to go for the player, but I don't know if he saw the leg of Hot and Cold in that particular position. We did, but keep in mind some players also play with stretched res, so they might not have 3-3 through the first half. Neither team closer to victory.
Sometimes there just is no right call, Parker. Sometimes you're just screwed. And I think in the 1v4, 30 seconds to go, that's kind of where we were at. Good from M80 to battle back. Despite some of the mistakes that have been made on that defensive side, they escape with a 3-3 split, and they can move over to their own attacks. Now, keep in mind, NIP have not played Chalet since all the way back in Stage 1, at least in the official circuit. A couple of Copa Sul Americana games, but otherwise not a whole lot of VODs to watch back for NIP. So M80 aren't going to really know what they're walking into. Chalet is one of those maps where all 4 bomb sites are viable. The basement definitely the least favored in today's meta, but certainly does still see play from time to time. So M80 are going to be going a little bit blind, and they end up banning double Scorpion. Denari and Ella being taken off the board. Both incredibly strong ops on this map, so I don't hate it.
A Denari ban is very odd. We don't typically see Denari bans.
I agree, but, you know.
Odd is in the sense that it's unusual, but not odd is in the sense that it's suboptimal.
Yeah.
I think on a map like Chalet, Denari is a perfectly fine ban. You can do some serious redecorating, especially on that top floor, that allows those trip mines to gain insane value.
Yeah.
Denari is a powerful operator even in limited situations, but when you've got the opportunity to tailor it to where you think your opponents are going to come from, guarding multiple windows and doorways with those long lines, Denari is a pain. Just get rid of them. The Glass ban is the one that's been really interesting to me, but I mean, you said it really early on in this series. Kino is a good sniper player.
No, I said Kino is the best sniper player.
I think that makes him a good sniper player.
Okay. Just want to make it clear where my position on his sniping play is.
For the record, Jesse thinks that Kino is the best sniper player.
Thank you.
There you go. Either way, Kali and Glaz are the 2 primary sniper ops. So if you don't have those at your disposal, makes your job a little bit harder. Kino has been rocking a lot of shields, though. Maybe that's because of the Glass bans.
Yeah.
It's also freed Hot and Cold up from that role. He did seem a little uncomfortable playing those shield ops through much of the series. So putting Kino on that role does allow Houghton to frag a little bit better, though even Houghton has struggled on that hard breach to frag.
I think it's one of the strengths of M80. They have multiple shield players. Already we're seeing some of these ace charges getting blown off. That's excellent util work coming out from NIP. They keep their mez position very safe and sound with that little play right there. So going to make it more awkward for M80 to take this library position. A lot of early damage as well. I think he got hit by a thorn trap as he hopped inside of games.
Oh! A nice play with pistol in hand and shield versus shield as he's tucked it away and Kino will run, hopping out the window. The Thorn of Fantasy is down. Wizard able to repel those remaining M80 players. Hates gets traded out immediately. He drags Diffuser down with him, not before M80 can put him in the ground. 3v3. Not only are we close in terms of scores, but we're also close in terms of player count, Jesse.
Yeah, it doesn't get more even than this, does it, Parker? 90 seconds, 3v3, and M80's still outside the building. They really want this library control. It's relatively free at this point. The most aggressive defenders that we'll have on NIP are going to be Pino and Cons inside Piano, droning this out now, but they don't have a ton of information, so they're going to spend some time clearing this through. Likely you'll see an office plant at some point in the midst of this, but how do we clear out Wizard? That's got to be the next thing that you're concerned about. You can work a couple different angles, especially if Gunnar can get in behind him through that office door, but otherwise, they don't have any specific anti-clash utility. There's no Nomad, there's no Capitao, there's no answers.
I think Gunnar got a good read of 3 players there on his drone. Very valuable information. A swing and a miss onto Pino, but that was mostly just because Pino moved out of the way.
Yeah.
Gunnar thought he had the read on him, and that really could have done some serious damage to this NIP defense. Final 30 seconds now, and NIP getting a bit more aggressive, taking more engagements than what we saw before. Gunnar being softened up by multiple players. Nitro Cell goes out, does not find anything. Hot and Cold taking down Pino, a 2v2. This is for the lead, by the way. Nip had tied things up. M80 sits on 3 kills as well. Which team will persevere, the attackers or the defenders? Not much happening. Only Wizard remains now for Nip. Shield still very much on the board. And Kino and Wizard will do battle. An entertaining end to the round. M80 takes the lead.
Baffling round. Crazy is the right word. I'll accept crazy.
They have a million traps we have to clear. It's not like we can just hop in that bitch.
It was an extremely heavy trap lineup coming through from NIP. There was the Thorn, of course. There was the Frost being brought by them as well. And then once they got to the late rounds, there was still the Clash they had to deal with. And I thought Wizard on the Clash was going to make it impossible. I thought that was going to be the final nail in the coffin that slowed things down. But honestly, M80 did a really good job of finding those players in behind the Clash. It's Pino to get taken out early by Hot and Cold. And then right afterwards, they down Cons as well. Some great shots being hit by Matt in the midst of that push. Gives them enough of an advantage, and Hot and Cold wisely at the end there starts to go for a plant, realizes that killing the Clash shouldn't be that easy, but Kino, even under the threat of the Thorn, bashes and hits the head. That's a good reason why he plays so many shields, Parker. That's a good reason.
Kino picking up some kills on these shield ops. A tale as old as time. We will see another Thorn yet again. Steadily, the pick rate rising on this Irish operator. If you did not hear us talk about Thorn on the first 2 maps, will allow us to take some time here on Chalet to repeat ourselves. Thorn receiving the most substantial buffs in the mid-season update that was published by the devs just a couple weeks ago. Basically, every part of Thorn was improved. Razor blooms go off faster, the radius is a little bit smaller, and the damage radius is a little bit different. So if you're on the edges, the fringes of it, it doesn't do the same amount, but it is almost an insta-kill in most situations. Yeah. Now, obviously, there are rare exceptions and outliers, and we will potentially see that the more Thorn gets played. But the big change to Thorn is how quickly those traps activate. You can now throw a Razor Bloom at an attacker who is putting down the diffuser, and it will arm and then explode before they can get off of the plant, or rather stick it and hope that it goes off afterwards. It can be fatal, and it can also work for plant denial.
Absolutely. And listen, I don't have the stat on me, but it would not surprise me if after the second day of SI, we've seen more Thorn picks at this event than every other international event combined. It's Wizard to open things up onto Gavin. That's the Grim to take down, but Kino is inside the site and fighting the Warden.
Damage being done now from Nip as they find 2 kills. Kino, the only one of M80 that's been able to strike some blood. He's now going to try to play at that diffuser with all 9 kills of Gunner. Will be gambled on this. Kino hopping off. 7 kills, 8 kills. But Wizard takes care of him. Tie game yet again. We have an answer. Chalet shaping up to be very similar to console.
Yeah, I like the idea to go for the rush there on M80. There were a lot of players kind of off-site. You saw Wizard all the way over towards Master. You saw Cons and Fantasy up on the top floor, while it really just left kind of Pino and Hates inside the bomb site. But in the end, it just didn't seem to matter. The anchor play was really good, specifically from Hates. And then once the roamers came back to site, I thought Wizard and Fantasy were excellent in managing to find those picks.
No timeouts have been used by my count, correct?
No timeouts yet.
They are saving it for the depths of this series. 8 rounds played so far, 4-1 by both of these teams, so dead even. And with both teams having their timeouts, the question will be who blinks first. Both teams get to talk when a timeout is called. If Fabian decides to call it on the side of M80, that means Nip gets to talk. If Dan chooses to call it on the side of Nip, that means Fabian gets to talk. So 2 opportunities to settle things down and get some decent strategizing going. Honestly, kudos to both of these teams for their ability to bounce back after rough matches.
Yeah.
Match number 1, or map number 1, rather, very easily could have broken the spirits of Nip. Did not. Nip showed up, firing on all cylinders in map number 2, immediately putting M80 at a sizable 4-0 deficit. After that Gavin clutch, I think we all could have seen Nip implode on map 2 and gone, yeah, that's pretty normal.
Yeah.
M80 had quite a dreadful second map. Things did get a bit more promising towards the end, but too little too late. And yet they immediately started off on good footing here on Chalet and have been in contention or leading for the whole map.
Very exciting strategy coming over from M80. You've got Hot and Cold on the Amaru in the basement. He's going to jump up the dining hatch and try to get a plant down as quickly as possible under the chaos of a million flashes. At the same time, Diffuser can push up West Main. The calls can come out from Gavin, and this is the plant. Here's the flashes. Gavin opening pick onto Hates, and here comes Hot and Cold. Doesn't go for a plant, though. He's hunting for kills, Parker. The whole site is free. There's nobody here to deny him.
There's no Dogoby on the board. Oh, there's a Dogoby on the board, but not quite the phone call that we were expecting. Still one Logic Bomb recharging as Diffuser's taking down Fantasy. Now Pino, a flick of his own. Trying to be Gavin, but not quite doing what needs to be done. Now it's Wizard in a 1v5, though. 4 of them were still upright. 1 was down. A flawless round. Is that our 3rd flawless round here on this map?
Yeah, it might be a really nice play coming out from M80.
And we know who just blinked first. It's Nip. They've called their timeout.
Yeah, 5-4. We're starting to get towards the end game. There will be an operator ban to come through first. Not sure what we might see. M80 have played a wide variety of strats. We did hear the North Americans complaining about the trap operators. I wouldn't hate a Thorn ban. I think it'd be the first Thorn ban of the event. But it's the Clash. We're staying boring.
Don't say that. Shield bans are intriguing here, and now the Nip timeout will occur, obviously right after the bans came in. We can't speak Portuguese, so there's no point in us listening to Nip. All we can do is, study body language, which we're also not experts at.
No. He's also not in our camera frame, so we couldn't even do that if we were.
You could listen real. Where is he gone?
He's behind the players on the far left. That's his head. You saw him for a second.
Oh, I can see him.
He's
Yes,
behind
right,
Pino.
Right, of course.
See this a lot from Norris, the coach of Fluxo W7M, where he likes to kneel, get down behind his teammates, kind of get on their level as he talks to them, rather than lording above. Part of me wonders if this might be maybe a bit of an early blown tack timeout. I know we're already 9 rounds deep entering into our 10th, but the fact that you might be headed to overtime where M80 have the tack timeouts and you do not could be the disadvantage that tilts this game in the favor of M80. It's always a gamble, though. You need to ensure you get to overtime, and I think that's where Dan's head is at. Just make sure that you can lock down these next couple defenses, and if you're flawless, you won't even have to worry about an OT.
Now, here's something interesting. Clash was played 1 time by Ninjas in Pajamas so far. It was played on round number 7. M80 won that round. If you remember the Blitz in the Clash, doing battle as Hot and Cold got the diffuser planted.
Yes.
That was the only Clash that appeared. Clash was not brought in the next 2 rounds.
10 seconds to insertion.
An intriguing choice because maybe M80 is gambling on the Clash appearing more or being more concerned with a Clash disrupting this Master Office tape.
Yeah.
There are other operators that have shown more prominence and had more power. Thorn being a great example of that, and you even referenced it. This will be the 4th round in a row that Fantasy is playing this operator. Now, it's possible that M80 just don't see Thorn as being such a hindrance, not quite a thorn in their side.
Yeah, I do think it's an operator that with proper droning you can counter, and it shouldn't be a problem, but sometimes it is just a lot to get that proper droning done. M80 certainly feel like they have the tools to deal with the Thorn. Wizard, he was the one that played the Clash last time they went top floor. He's going to grab the Malusi instead, an operator that was banned by Nip all the way back on map number 1 of this series. We'll get to see it come out and hopefully give a little bit of information to Nip as to where these M80 players want to push. It's not so much of a surprise that it's looking like a solar take to begin things here. You're sometimes a little bit worried about a run out, but I believe that they'll have some drones watching for that. We do see Wizard down in the basement playing this new operator of Malusi, so always a bit of a threat to watch out for.
For those of you that can't see what's happening, Hates is being carpet bombed by grenades at this point in time, surviving explosions all around him as Wizard makes Gunner disappear. Nip striking first. It's something we've said a few times on this map. Now it's Hot and Cold absorbing some damage as Fantasy stands pat inside a Solarium. Not just covering that position, also covering the window down below. Goodbye to Diffuser. Fantasy doing double duty here, now worried about the trophy stairs. Monty standing menacingly inside of Solarium as now Gavin will try to push him out of position. Death mark used, and immediately Gavin will march his way upstairs. Haughton is given the all clear. Oh! A gamble!
Dude.
I can't believe they let Cons get away with this. And down goes Haughton to Fantasy. Another flawless round.
Jeez.
My goodness! An incredible showing as both of these teams battle for every inch they can get.
Pisang, Mat.
All 12 rounds needed for the second time in this contest as it's 5-5 match point, series point for the team that takes the next round.
M80 seem like they've got the information. They know what they want to do, but that doesn't mean they can execute on it. That round, pushing through Solar, an impossible task. They knew where Cons was. They tried to bash him with the Monty. They tried to get a free pick on him, yet somehow he still manages to peek out and get the kill in the midst of that. Starts things off really nicely in the brunt of that push. Fantasy, of course, playing from the bathroom position, gets this first kill through the floorboards beautifully, and then capitalizes on the distraction that Cons is making here to swing back out through the bathroom and take down the Monty. We also saw a couple of aggressive plays from Wizard. That was the last one caught on the camera, but got a flank from the basement up the library stairs to get the opening pick onto Gunner earlier in that round too. So some great moves from Wizard after they ban out his Clash. They go back to that Operator ban. Is it exactly what they needed at this moment? Certainly didn't help them for round 10.
7 of those 10 rounds have been in which Nip have struck first. This is in stark contrast to the previous 2 maps where it was Nip trailing in the first kill department. Though it is a bit odd that Nip struggled to draw blood first and bang, yet the dominance that they had.
Yeah.
Again, it was that mid to late round for Nip where they were so successful. This time around, they're successful all across the board, but mostly in the earlier rounds. Conversions have actually mattered an awful lot in this map. Converting that first kill, really not that important in maps 1 and 2 statistically. Here, all but 2 of the first bloods have determined who wins the rounds. And would you believe it, but those two examples were Nip striking first and then losing the round.
So Pino was decided to hide in the prep phase on this Kaid, so it's likely not something that M80 will be aware of. He's used those claws on the south-facing walls, one inside of dining, one top floor as well, I do believe, on the office wall. Can be really annoying to clear these out. They do have some nades. They've got some answers for how to open up these walls, but no EMPs have been brought by M80, so it's going to be a bit of a tricky task as Wizard starts things off.
Goodbye to Kino. Hot and Cold very swiftly looking for the Azami. It looked like he might bottle it, but he makes it work. Fantasy on the board this round as well. Houghton will have a crossfire in front of him if he goes any farther, and he does, but he takes down Fantasy, and immediately Nip heads for the hills.
Already, we're seeing the captain thriving on this Dokkaebi. It's not a common operator from him, but he's done quite well with the SMG and DMR combo. 3v3 and lots of time for M80 to work with. This is a great position for the North American team.
Plenty of time. One Nitro Cell in the pocket for Cons. Grenades for Diffuser as he brings Striker, who has multiple of those secondary gadgets that can be used wherever. Still a Logic Bomb for Hot and Cold as well. It looks like we will see it get used. That's an ego peak from Pino, maybe challenging for info. In a 3v3, you got to raise your eyebrow at those sorts of decisions. Down goes Cons. Wizard now in a 1v3. Oh boy, it was so promising for Nip, but it looks like time has run out on this round. Which of the 3 lads from M80 will find this final kill? Will Wizard be able to stand against them? No! Gavin gets the kill, and it's series point for the defending major champs.
Oh, it feels like map 1 again, Parker. We go back and forth, but M80 continue to be in charge. I think they played those last 60 seconds fantastically. They took their time, picked up the defuse kit after it had been dropped, I believe, by Kino outside the solar window. And then I think, you know, there were some interesting swings there. We saw Pino go for the swing of the trophy window. I think that's NIP recognizing that with 60 seconds, they don't have a great chance of winning, so they've got to take some risks. They've got to go for some plays. They've got to try to catch M80 off guard if they have a chance of winning that round. Ultimately, though, M80 were ready. The major champions don't make mistakes like that often. Good entry through the top floor as well, which is what we saw from Hot and Cold in that early round. Some of the information may be missing a bit from NIP is they didn't necessarily know how deep Hot and Cold had gotten pushing in through Piano. It's not something they can linger on, though. This has to be a successful defensive round win, Parker. Their entire match depends on it.
M80 has only won consecutive rounds with the side swap, so technically they have yet to win back-to-back in the same side.
Fair.
It does seem like a lot of the parallels from Consulate are present here on Chalet. Wizard is spawn peeking. This is an interesting decision.
Nobody spawns north, won't get anybody.
At least he tried. I mean, it wasn't as unsuccessful as when Diffuser did it.
That's true. It's true. I actually think Diffuser might have spawned north, but didn't walk the right path.
Yeah. All told, if Nip does fall here, it is a massive step up from their matchup yesterday. Going into overtime in map number 1 on your opponent's pick, demolishing your opponent on your own map choice, and then on the tiebreaker going all 12 rounds. This is, of course, if they lose this round. Naturally, that isn't going to be reflected very well on the scoreboard. And Nip will still be fighting for that very final spot in the group, which is in elimination territory.
For sure.
But there will still be 2 more matches to go. And Nip still has to play FearX, who right now look like they might be one of the weakest teams as well in the group. So major improvements here from a Brazilian team that other Brazilians say don't sleep on. And well, if you watch today's matchup, maybe you were sleeping depending on the time zone. It's worth going back and seeing maps 1 and 2. There were some serious fireworks in there, particularly map 1.
No one can deny it's been a great game, but it's not going to feel good if you do lose it at this point. NIP, desperate to hold on, defending inside of the top floor library. Bard Games is the site. All the utility being tossed out by M80 now. The Capitao, the Ace, they're just trying to break into Mez, force that player back. I believe they've been successful, but Fantasy is actually still up there. M80 don't care, though. They're in the site.
And this is for the match. Nip reduced to just 4. Hot and Cold looking like he is the all clear, but hold on a second. The cavalry riding in from Ninjas in Pajamas, firing away. Hot and Cold off of the defuse kit, waiting for the call. Cons dies, it's all Wizard again. He'll have to clutch out. He was unsuccessful before. Can he pull it off this time? Gunner on a single point of HP. Kino, full HP. Gunner gets it done. 1 foot in the grave, but 1 foot out of the series, and M80 takes it 2-1 despite a scare from Ninjas in Pajamas.
And that's a bold call to make it happen right at the end. They say, we know there's guys above. We know there's a lot of players still alive on the defenders, but screw it. Let's go into the site. Let's figure out how to win this game. And Kino, the guy that I've been saying has maybe been a bit quiet this series, steps up to steal the top frag from his teammates, ends with 11 kills.
Who is a
Jimat lebih musim nikmati voucher.
Crucial mistakes here and there. A lot of risky executes in that game as well. Very much. That first half, they were really going for high risk, high reward plays, and it's just not working out. I feel like individually, the Enterprise guys are looking a little bit better than yesterday. As for the Fluxo ones, of course, this is their first match of the tournament. They've come out of the gates pretty hot. Yeah, the Royal was teased out for a second, unfortunately not stuck.
I could see it. Like, I mean, you can close off top spiral and with a double and single door, meeting door to like just push down through a hallway. Definitely gives you a cool options.
It's been a game at spawn peaks. I'll tell you what, I've seen more spawn peaks this game than any other match so far in the tournament. We're only around 7. Yeah. Goes to show. Fluxo really set the pace early. Now they're getting aggressive at the start here. This is a gnarly angle from Loven.
Okay.
If you get a kill there, I'll give you a
Untuk
cookie.
jadi kita jumpa lagi.
That's a hell of a lot of damage.
Stream besok lah. Kita jangan stream lagi.
Should you
Don't,
be
don't,
swinging?
don't swing this too hard. Do not.
200 would swing it again though.
Oh, I wonder if he could throw that
Gameplay
needle.
untuk ni lah,
Logan's going to
SI
keep
punya-
lurking with gridlock.
SI
Relays
Kind
on
of
for
play
a fun.
kind.
Oh,
Again,
Time
again,
that. The timing, push it, push it, push it, push it.
Okay.
It makes so
Peace.
much noise.
Go.
If he had just walked straight through it, he might
Yeah.
have had it. Timing was off.
That's the thing that I see it happen quite often, especially in range with gridlock, is you toss it